Welcome back to Create Above and Beyond. I know it's been a long time since the last episode, so I went ahead and put together this Above and Beyond marathon. In this first part, we complete the first chapter of the quest book and build a really nice starter base. And after the 2-part recap is released, you won't have to wait long for new episodes, because just 1 week after the recap, brand new episodes will be releasing. I hope you guys are excited for brand new episodes of Above and Beyond. I know I can't wait to start digging back into this mod pack and making our way to the moon. Hello everyone, and welcome to Create Above and Beyond. So something I've wanted to do on the channel for quite a while now is play a mod pack. If you know anything about me and have seen any of my videos, you know that I'm a huge fan of Create, but something you may not know is that I love a lot of other mods too. So when I saw that the Create dev team released their very own mod pack, I thought, what a perfect time to jump right in and explore some other mods that work with Create. So we're just going to get started. We're going to collect some starter resources in this beautiful seed we have. If you guys want to play in this world, I will be dropping the seed down right at the top of the description. If you want to have basically the same experience as me, some stuff is changed seed to seed. So if you want to basically follow along one for one, definitely use the seed in your world. It should be a pretty fun one. I've got some pretty good fans for a giant mega factory that I think will work perfect in these mountains. So we're going to collect some beginning resources, and then we will hop into the quest book and see if we can get to some automation today, which I think will be very fun. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that's a village over there. Ooh, that's perfect, because I think we are... Yep, sun's going down. We're nearing the night. Oh, what is that? That looks like a desert temple under the ocean. We will have to go check that out. But I think for this first night, we're going to head over to this village and just hole up in one of their houses. I'm sure they won't mind. And then we can start looking into some of these quests and kind of get a good idea of how we want to get started. Let's try to pick a house with a bed so we can sleep through the night if we so choose. We will choose this as our home. So, hi, thanks for joining me. So let's take a look at the quest book. So this first tab just kind of walks you through what the mod pack is, and definitely go check out the video I made kind of explaining what is Create Above and Beyond, and that'll kind of walk you through all of this information and get you started with the mod. There's also this remote trading tab, which we won't be getting into today as that's a little more advanced and requires some automation. So we're just going to hop straight down to the factory guide. So starting off here from a tree puncher. So collect a wood. We will collect our apple cider as a reward. It's a pretty good reward considering all we have is a bunch of raw fish right now. So that'll help us get started. So then we get to chapter 1, high aspirations. So all we got to do is click that to unlock the first chapter. The earliest inventions reveal one's resourcefulness. With low-level equipment, auto-crafting? None. Filtering? Not cheap. Item transport? May the built spaghetti mesh in your favor. After hitting the check mark above, the first chapter of the factory guide will become accessible from the quest sidebar. So now we can hop into the first chapter, which basically walks us through everything in the Andesite age. So this little tab just kind of lets us know that this flow kind of shows us what we should do, but it's not what we have to do. We can feel free to skip steps or kind of go flip-flop back and forth between stuff to make sure that we're following a flow that we like. But this should definitely help us out in terms of getting started and knowing what we need to do first. So it looks like it's nighttime outside, so I'm going to borrow this bed so we can skip the night and go straight to day. And there's monsters nearby. And there's a villager in the bed. Don't see the monster. That doesn't mean they're not here. Okay, it looks like there's a single zombie. Okay, we can take care of that. Alright, now let's go to bed. There we go. Now looking at what the quest book wants us to start with. First thing says Automation Forest, Contraption 1. So the first thing it wants us to do is automate the collection of wood. That's actually not the first thing that I think I'm going to do. I think I'm actually going to start over here with sediment. So contraption 1, it says wood. we're going to hold off on that. We're going to jump straight to sediment. Now the reason being is what we want to do is we want to automate the andesite alloy creation as soon as possible. And for that, I think this is going to be a good place to start. So it says, catching sediment. A good way to automate sand at this moment is to build strainers. So if I look at the recipe for strainers, essentially what that is it is a andesite machine plus iron bars and a smithing table gets us our strainer. So before we get started with all that crafting, I think what I'm going to do is get as much food going as I can right now, and then do some exploring to see if this really is where we want to settle, or if we can find somewhere a bit better to build our starter base. So we're going to grab all of the wheat from this village, craft that up into some bread, cook all of the fish we grabbed, and go on a little bit of an adventure. So looks like we have a cartographer in this village. So we will borrow that, and let's check what we got here. We got some grading sleeves from buddy cards, some bread, and a rubber ducky. Hello. Quack, 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 quack. So we got a rubber ducky and some buddy card grading sleeves. I'm really excited about the buddy card mod. Essentially what it does is it adds a bunch of like collectible cards to the game, and they don't really do anything all that interesting, but I'm just really think it'd be a lot of fun to try to collect them all. Oh, a saddle and another rubber duck. That saddle is going to be pretty helpful if we manage to find a horse, because then we can have a good way to move around and we don't have to walk. Oh, we also got a stone cutter. Thank you. I will be taking that. That'll be very helpful in getting our starter house built. Now I will cook up all this food and we will be on our way. Okay, so looking into it, it looks like these fish, you actually have to fillet them and then cook up the fillets. So we're gonna hold off on crafting those down for now. We did get enough bread from that village to sustain ourselves. So I think we'll be good without the fish. Something else I really want to watch out for is some cows. As is modded Minecraft, my inventory is already almost completely full. So I want to have a goal of getting a backpack done today. Looks like we need 5 leather to make the pack and 3 wool. Sewing spool looks like we need some string. And then the sewing table needs another leather. So we need at least 6 leather to get started with a backpack. So hopefully we can find some cows as we look around for a spot to settle down. I think because we were able to snag 6 leather, we'll let those cows live. Alright, so just coming over this hill here, I think I spotted, yes, there's another village right over there. And it looks like a bit of a larger village. So I think that might want to be closer to that one than that little tiny one by the ocean. And what is that? Looks like some abandoned structures. Let's go check those out. This might be cool to kind of hold up there for a little bit right next to the village, but not in the village. I tend to find when you live in a village, the villagers don't seem to last very long, as you keep those chunks loaded throughout the night and the zombies get to them. But let's see what we have over here. So it looks like we got a little hut, a little like oak log hut. Got some sort of brick roofed building right next to it. So it looks like this is some sort of mine shaft. Yeah, it's got some mine carts, some rails, a chest with some goodies in it. Okay, got a buddy card set, another rubber ducky. We'll grab that right away. And some rails. And then up here we have a little cottage. You know what? I think we might just commandeer this little cottage, maybe expand it a bit. And we can call this home. And it looks like I might almost see something right up here too. What do we got up this way? So is this like an old like abandoned village area? Kind of looks like. Oh, this is a create contraption. This looks like, yeah, it was once a windmill. Oh, very, very cool. So we should be able to rip this all up and rebuild this windmill. Yeah, I think this is gonna be where we start our base. So we've got a little wooden hut, a mine shaft, and a windmill all ready to go for us. This is perfect. And then we're right outside the village. And We even got another little dirt hut. Wow. Is there anything hiding under the carpet like a snow temple? Doesn't look like it. It's pretty cool. I think I will organize my inventory. We'll just kind of use this little house for now and maybe expand it later on into the episode. And then I'm going to go check out this mine shaft and see what that has to offer. So the backpack mod isn't something I've used before, but I think that we should check it out. So to actually make the backpacks, you need tanned leather, sewing spools, and shears. I don't think we have iron yet, so we might have to go into that cave a little bit to get some iron. Sewing spools, we need some string. And then for the sewing table itself, we need a leather, some spruce, and a stick. That all seems pretty easy to do. So I think the first things first, we need to go get some shears, both for crafting the backpack itself, but also getting some wool and potentially turning that into string. So let's see if we can't just kind of walk down here. I don't trust that minecart. I think we're just gonna do it on foot and see if we can find some iron ore. We don't need, ooh, okay. So this apparently is trapped. So we gotta watch out for that. Okay, broken stone is apparently what it is. So gotta make sure not to step on that broken stone. Okay, here's some iron. We only need 2 ingots to get started. Now, one thing that you're gonna notice with this mod pack pretty quickly here is that ores are not set up the same as vanilla. And what I mean by that is if I look at the use of this crushed ore, which I got from mining that block, 1 crushed ore gives us 3 nuggets. And there is a way to kind of multiply that and get more nuggets out of each ore. But I will be going into that in the next episode, as this one I really just kind of want to get started. And then the next one we'll try to set up a little smithy and look into duplicating our ore. So it looks like we found a little chest here. Looks like it's not trapped. Oh, there we go. There's my iron. We got some diamonds. We got some gold. Bunch of cooked fish, emeralds, a heart of the sea. That's sick. 2 buddy cards and more rubber duckies. Amazing. So that's a pretty good little starting chest. Oh, we got even more. We got a airtight seal, enchanted book, some lapis, some cloth, rope, bread, rails, and torches. Okay. Well, that was a pretty darn good find in this little mine shaft, and I'm really excited too. Oh no. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh god, broken stone. Oh no. That's not good. Alrighty, so we finally made it back down here, and it looks like, yeah, so we do have the corpse mod installed, so my stuff is safe. But it looks like it is still under the lava, so I have to figure out a safe way to get down there without dying in lava again. So we'll break that, and then I should be able to pop down here, and then there we go. Transfer items, and we're good to go. So this broken stone, that's what we got to watch out for. It looks like if we shift on it, we are safe. So whenever we are near lava, I think we got to shift because they are very clearly trying to trick us and kill us because they think it's funny. I don't know. So we're going to get out of this mine shaft and go craft up some backpacks. So we're going to make our shears and then sleep until day in a bed that I definitely did not steal from the village. Except there's a creeper right outside, so we will grab our bed and I guess run away really fast and hopefully we don't die. Looks like the sun is starting to come up though, so we'll just go shear some sheep, get the wool, and then we should be good to go in terms of setting up the backpack. Then we can maybe explore that mine shaft further because it looks like it's got some pretty good loot. Okay, so I was walking around and we're not far from the base. It's just over that hill and looks like there's another one of those little railway buildings. So let's go check that out and see if there's any good loot in the top chest. And then maybe once we get all situated, we can go explore this one too. Probably wait till we get some armor and stuff. I don't know how dangerous these things are in the lower levels, and I definitely want to be extracting all the ore I can as I go. Looks like we got a elderwood bucket of suspicious stew, another buddy card pack, and then a whole bunch of rails, and another rubber ducky. Awesome. So yeah, like I said, we will leave this one be for now, and we will come back to it once we get situated, once we get our backpack going, and we will go through it and harvest all of the resources. So now that we're back with the wool, I'm going to head up to the little windmill because I want to grind this wool down into string, which I feel like is a better idea than trying to go fight some spiders with our leather cap and stone tools. So we'll see what we have here and see if we can't fashion together a functional windmill. We should be able to just kind of pop this on here, and if this gives us enough sails, it should be able to function. So we've got our shaft here. I think we'll just do it real kind of quick and dirty. Just pop the windmill sail on there. I guess windmill bearing. And then on top of the bearing, we'll do a sail, and we'll just see if that works. Contraption unable to assemble. It needs 8. So they only gave us 6 sails, so we'll have to make 2 more. So the sail frames are actually pretty cheap. We need a wool, some sticks, and some iron nuggets. So we've got the iron nuggets and wool. We just got to get some more wood going to get those sticks. We'll see if we can get this to work. So 1, 2 sails, right click, and it works. Awesome. So we will pop in, I think we just need 1 white wool, because we need to make the sewing spool, which needs 2 string. Each wool crush up gives us 1. Okay, so we will throw in a second wool, and that will give us all the string we need to make our spool, and then make our sewing table, and make our backpack. And the last step here is to tan our leather. So it looks like we have to make bound leather, which again is with the spool shears in the sewing table, and then smelt that up and we get our tanned leather. So that actually looks pretty easy. Now what I'm worried about is that these spools get used up. I have a feeling that the shears don't when you make these crafting recipes, but I do have a feeling that the spools do. So we'll try it with just the 1 spool, but if that does get used up, we can just go ahead and mill down more wool and get more string. So we will craft up the sewing table, place that down here, put in our shears, put in our spool, which we still need to make. So craft up the spool, and then put in the leather to make bound leather, and it does use 1 up for each leather. So we will have to go make some more wool. So we have 4 more pieces of leather, so we need 8 more wool ground. So we'll head back over to the grindstone and grind that up. Okay, so we got the rest of that leather bound and we are smelting it up. Then the last step is just to combine it with 3 wool, which we have. And then we should have a backpack. And I don't know how many slots these have by default, but I did notice you can make these pouches, and these can be like attached to backpacks. So there's a tiny pocket, which can be attached to the backpack. Adds 3 slots. Max you can put on is 3. There's a medium pocket, which adds 6 slots, and the large pocket, which adds 9 slots. So I think we'll see how big this is. I'm hoping it's at least a chest. If not, we'll probably have to add some of these pockets. So 4, we gotta wait for this 1 last leather to be cooked up. Then we will grab them out of the furnace, go over to our sewing table, combine those with the wool. And oh, we need 1 more string. Oh, we're gonna be short. Oh, we have just enough wool. Now that we got that spool, we can put it in the sewing table along with the 5 tanned leather, the white wool, and we get our backpack. So today we're gonna start off the episode by jumping down into those mine shafts and seeing what we can find now that we got our backpack, so we don't run out of space. And then after that, I think we might get a little house going and kind of see what's next in the progression of the pack. So now that we actually have our backpack made, I think we can actually put this on our back. So in the curio slot, which you press this little golden symbol to activate, okay, so there is a backpack slot, so we can just put that on, and then it should, yeah, look at that, it's on our back. And let's see if there is a key to open it. I would assume it'd be B. That doesn't seem to work. Let me go check the settings and see what it's set at. Okay, so it looks like it was set to B, but that didn't seem to work. So I just rebound it to an extra button on my mouse so we can open up our backpack just like this. And we can activate it, get our 2 slots of inventory. You can also just hold it in your hand and open it. So if we wanted to carry extra backpacks on it, we definitely could do that. So that's pretty cool. So without further ado, let's hop down in those caves and see what we can find. So one thing we're going to be doing as we go through here is I'm going to be collecting all of the iron stuff we can get. So all of the mine carts and iron tracks. And the reason being is with the ore not giving you full ingots and only giving you nuggets, we can actually smelt on mine carts and get your ingots back. So it's definitely going to be worth our time to collect any mine carts and rails we find down in this cave. Looks like we got another little room. This floor is gravel. The other one had lava underneath. I feel like this one does too. So I'm going to take my time here and hopefully this gravel doesn't all fall into a lava pit. Okay, it looks like we're safe. There's limestone underneath. Okay, we are safe. And a whole bunch of goodies again. More iron, more emeralds, some TNT. I'm sure we could use that in a project pretty soon here. Oh, nice. We're getting a bunch of these silver coins too. That'll be really helpful for getting started with the stuff in the shop. And yeah, got a clock, golden carrot. We got a golden hand already. Very cool. So we should be in a pretty good spot. Now, I don't really know much about a lot of these different mods. Like I'm seeing all this like ruby ore around. I'm going to need your guys' help with that. So if you know what ores I should be looking out for, please let me know down in the comments because I frankly don't. I'm very familiar with Create and I'm familiar with a few of the mods on this list, but some of them are brand new to me. So it looks like this path leads all the way down to bedrock. So pretty cool. I think that we got some pretty good loot out of here. I ended up with a twisted sapling and a fir sapling. The fir I've seen is pretty common in Biomes of Plenty, but the twisted sapling from Architect's Palette, I'm excited to check out what kind of tree that makes. It sounds like it might be pretty cool, and it's definitely not something I've seen before. So we're going to get out of here, and I think we'll drop our inventory and go explore that other mine shaft, because we found some pretty good stuff down here. So I will see you guys on the surface, and we will hop down into the second mine shaft. Okay, I don't learn my lesson. Oh, man. They got me again. Okay, this time we know the trap, though, so we're good. Also, it looks like this is a bit of a smaller mine shaft. It only went down to that one lava room. So that'll save us a little bit of time and inventory space because this is all we have to grab. So some gold, some diamonds. Seems like pretty much the same loot as before, but doesn't discount how nice it is to get. And oh, a bone pickaxe. Interesting. So leave that stuff behind. See if we can grab the rest of this. Gas tier. Now that's pretty nice to get this early on. We can drop the cooked cod. We can always go fishing. So I think it's finally time to start crafting. So that way we can automate sand. So what we want to try to do today is finish this catching sediment achievement. So basically what we need to do is we need to craft some strainers. Now the recipe for strainers is relatively easy. So we need an andesite machine combined with iron bars, and that gets our strainer base. Andesite machines essentially just take a lot of wood and a lot of andesite alloy. To make our andesite alloy, what we need is agile blocks and andesite. Now this is where the mod pack really takes a turn from your classic create recipes, where everything basically starts with these agile blocks and then kind of goes up from there into these machines. So it's basically just the same gameplay you're used to, but just with more steps. So to make these agile blocks, what we need is this agile blend, which is made with kelp and clay. So for today, because we don't have those things automated yet, because we need andesite alloy to actually get into any of this, I'm just going to go and collect some of that up. We'll try to do a stack of each. So that'll get us a stack of andesite alloy. And then we'll also grab a stack of andesite. So we'll have a stack of andesite alloy, and that should be enough to hopefully craft us 2 of these strainer bases. And then we'll also need these sediment strainers. So essentially you place down the strainer base, and then you place these sediment strainers on top of that. And to make those, you need canvas. And to make that, you need straw. And basically, this straw is made from rice. So basically, it's milling rice. So we have a milling setup working, but what we need to do is it needs rice. Luckily, I was able to find some rice in one of the village chests. So what I can do is I can take this rice and go plant it out here in the water. Rice needs to be planted like 1 block into water. So I'll place down all of this rice, let that grow, harvest it, and hopefully that will give us enough to make 2 of these sediment strainers. We'll need 6 canvases. Each one takes 4 straw. Each rice makes 1 straw, so we'll need a total of 24 of these rice growing all the way up. So that's going to take a minute. Hopefully we can get some bone meal and speed up that process just a bit. That is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Maybe other than the kiwi at the beginning of the episode, but look at those little woodpeckers pecking away at the tree. Oh, that's adorable. I love this mod that adds all these birds. It's so subtle, but it just adds so much more atmosphere to the game, and I really, really appreciate that. So I was able to get a stack of andesite, cobblestone, clay balls, and kelp. I saw this little guy on the way back, so not sure what's up there, so let's go check it out. Wasn't quite enough, but we got this andesite cobblestone we can use to pillar up the rest of the way. And it looks like we've got a Nipah flower from Forbidden Arcanus. And a tree, and then some flowers. Interesting. Was it worth coming all the way up here? I don't think so, but at least we know. At least we know what's up here now. So we got home with our kelp, our clay, and our andesite cobblestone. So let's make our andesite alloy. So first we're going to make our agile blocks, which we need to make our agile blend, which is the kelp and clay. And then we smelt that up. So we'll grab some coal, which I've got somewhere. And we'll smelt up a stack of that, and then we can combine it with the andesite cobblestone to get our andesite alloy. And in the meantime, while that smelts up and while we wait for our rice to grow, I think what we're going to do is make a new home base. We are very quickly outgrowing this little shack, but instead of expanding this, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go up there and fix up that windmill. I think a little TLC to the little garbage little windmill we put together, I think will be just what this world needs, and I think it'll be a perfect little place to have a little starter base. And here is the finished, fully refurbished windmill. I am super duper happy with how this turned out. It was a lot of fun to basically take that little tiny broken down base and imagine what it could have looked like if it was fully built up. So we not only have the exterior and the windmill done, we actually have a fully custom interior, well I guess mostly finished custom interior. Down at this bottom level we have our little crafting room set up, so we've got our millstone hooked up to the windmill, as well as all of our different crafting implements and a few stuff that we find out in the world, like our cartography table and our little blaze burner. Then going up to the second level, this is where I'm going to be building a kitchen. So there are a few different food mods that add some new craftable items, so we'll definitely be having to make a pretty large kitchen, and I feel like this will be a pretty decent spot for it. Up on this next level, we have all of our chests. So we have all of our stuff relatively organized into its different chests, and then up above there is where we have our little bitty bedroom with our wildflower hanging out, as well as a chest with all of our like super rare goods. So our rubber duckies, coins, hearts of the seas, all that jazz. And then up all the way above there, we have a 4th level that I'm leaving open for now. I'm thinking that this will either become some kind of enchanting room or just extra overfloor storage. We'll kind of see what happens and what we end up using this for. But yeah, I'm super happy with how the interior turned out. I feel like it's a bit tight, and I think we'll outgrow this in an episode or two, but you know what? It'll get us started at the very least. So now that we have our little house done, we were able to kind of wait for all of the stuff for our strainer to finish being made. So let's go ahead and grab our agile block, andesite cobblestone, and then a whole bunch of oak. And that is basically all we need to craft up our strainers. So the first thing we're going to do is actually craft our andesite alloy. So for that, you do 2 rows of andesite cobblestone and 2 rows of agile blocks, and that'll get us 1 full stack of andesite alloy. And then for each of these andesite mechanisms, which we need 2 of, it takes 8 of these kinetic mechanisms, and each of those takes a saw and 3 cogwheels. So we need a whole bunch of cogwheels, so all I'll do is just make a whole stack of buttons, make a whole stack of cogwheels. That should be enough. The other thing we needed is a saw, so I'm going to run up to our upper levels. We're going to grab that saw, and we're also going to grab the iron bars, which I think are in my backpack. So we'll grab the iron bars there, and then we'll make the saw. So it was an iron and then some wooden sticks and some stone sticks. So we'll have to grab some cobblestone. I think we needed 3 cobblestone sticks. So it looks like we'll need to get a little bit more cobblestone to actually make that saw. Yeah, we need 3 stone rods to craft our saw. So let me be right back once I get enough stone to make those rods. Okay, so we got our 3rd stone rod, so we can craft up that saw like so. And then we should be good to craft our mechanisms. We're just missing logs. Okay, so we should not have uncrafted all of our logs. Let's go grab another stack. I think I have a few more left, 43. That will be enough. We'll need a 16 in total to make 2 andesite machines. So we can get more than enough cogs, more than enough of that, and then we need 14, 15, 16. So give us 16 of those. Then we need to make a set of andesite casings, and we are out of logs. There we go. They just weren't in my inventory for some reason. So we will craft up our andesite casings, and then we should be able to make 2 andesite machines, which we can then place into our smith table, combine those with iron bars, and get our 2 strainer bases. Now we're not quite done with these, because if we paste these strainer bases, you'll see that they actually have this little spot up top, and that's where the strainer itself needs to go. So I will just pick these both up for now, and we will craft up those strainers. So to actually craft those, that's what we needed to farm the rice for. So I got just enough rice to turn into straw. You can see I already processed 1. So to process those, all I'm going to do is throw them into my millstone and wait for those to mill up, and I'll get both rice and straw. And so for the straw, we need 4 of these to make 1 canvas. And so we'll actually need 16, 4, 8, 12 per strainer. So I think we only grabbed 8. We do only have 8, so we'll have to get 4 more straw, and then we'll be able to make our first strainer, and then we can play around with this and get it going. So I was able to get the rice to finish growing up, so I am crushing the last of it. So we got 13 straws, so we got actually 1 more than we need, so we can go ahead and craft up our 3 canvas, and then we're going to craft that into our sediment strainer. And now the way we use these is we need to actually put them in water. So I'm just going to come down here to this little pond, and all you do is you put them under a block of water, put the strainer above that, and then if you go into the inventory, you'll see status, no problems detected. So that means we are good to go. And if I click show recipes, it'll say I can get sand, white sand, orange sand, and clay balls. So we should see pretty quickly here that it will start to produce. So it looks like this is our meter that basically shows us our progress. So once this hits 100, we should get an item. And we get some white sand. Very, very cool. So we are already automating. So let me just grab that sand out of there. And what I can do is I can just go ahead and check off that quest. So catching sediment, contraption 2, we are done. Now we skipped contraption 1, which is some like wood automation. So I think next episode we might hit that, but that actually might have to wait. But we should be automatically collecting sand and clay. The next step with clay though is making it from sand. So you can actually take sand, wash it, and get clay. So that's a cool way that we can duplicate clay, because we do actually have a chance of getting clay from here, but it's a much lower chance than getting any of the sand. So we could take sand from our strainers and automatically make it into clay. So I think I'll craft up a few more of these strainers and just kind of fill up this little pond so that we can just kind of passively collect a whole bunch of sand, and that should really help us kind of get started with the crate mod and help us progress to the next level. So I ended up getting 2 more of these strainers set up, so that way we can really get going with getting some sand here. This first one is running for quite a bit. It looks like it's right about half durability. Looks like we have about 2 stacks of sand and 17 clay. So you really don't get a lot of clay from these, but you do get quite a bit of sand. So we'll definitely have to set up a washing system next episode to turn this sand into clay. So I'll let these run for a bit longer, but I think it's about time to wrap up the episode. But before we do, I've got these buddy cards, and looking at the mod, it seems like there's more to it than just collecting the cards. So we're going to open these up and see what we get. I also noticed that there are these card displays, so we'll craft up a few of those and we can display those on my house and see what we get. So let's craft up some of these displays. Just a wood and then a whole bunch of sticks, so we can get 5 of those, and let's open these up. The first one, we got a treaty, base at 18, Emeralda, base at 16, Saps, base at 1, Red, base at 19. Oh, there's a star next to that. Does that mean it's a rare? Must be. Okay, cool. The next one, oh, we got another rare. We got base at 14, rare. So I wonder if you can collect like the common and the rares of every single number. And we got a 24 rare. Lucky pull. We got an achievement for that one. So yeah, once we get everything open here, I'll do some investigation to kind of figure out which one of these are useful and which ones are maybe not so much. But yeah, we're getting a whole bunch of really cool stuff here. And the last one. Okay, pretty cool. So we got a few of these like stars, which must be the rare. And we got these like ones with like the purple names. So I wonder if those are like different rarities. Like if like the ones are like more common, and then as it goes through, it's less and less common. So after opening up all 6 packs, we're actually a good amount of the way of completing the first set. So I ended up crafting this buddy card guidebook, which is just made by combining a book and any buddy card. And this just kind of gives you some information about all the cards, what they do, and then some more kind of useful stuff in the mod pack. So apparently there are 27 cards in the base set. So this is card 27. So we're actually a good amount of the way through completing our first set. Now there are shiny and non-shiny variants. So we do have some duplicates, which include some of these non-shiny variants of the shiny ones we've got up here, which is pretty cool. And they do actually have different rarities. So if you look at the corners, that basically denotes the rarities. So the purple and gold corners are the rarest. The blues are less rare. Golds are below that, and then the no corners are the common cards. And what's really cool about these sets is that it's not just for collecting the cards. You can actually get these base set medals. So there's different sets. The one we're working on right now is the base set, and it says the base set medal can be earned by gaining all 27 cards, shiny and not shiny, of the base set. So I'm assuming that we have to collect 54 cards. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments. But it says when it's equipped, it'll actually give us speed 1, which is very, very cool. So that means just we get infinite speed 1. There are also these 2 enchantments that can go on it. Buddy Binding, which keeps it on our body when we die, and Buddy Boost, which can boost it all the way up to speed 3 if we get Buddy Boost too. So that's pretty cool. So I think that we'll have to pay attention to make sure that we're collecting all the Buddy cards we can, so that way we can collect those medals. And there are different sets. So there's Nether set, End set, Create set, Aquaculture set, and Farmer's Delight set. And there's different ways to earn all of these. So the base set is earned in all of the overworld structures. Nether set is earned in Nether structures. Create set, it says you need to make Shredder Buddy cards. Okay, that seems like it's a little more advanced. End set can be found by killing the dragon, as he's guaranteed to drop a few. You can also find them while raiding end cities. Aquaculture set, you need to make a buddy card, hook, or rods. Looks like we have to actually fish for those. And then there's the Farmer's Delight set, which says buddy beans can be found rarely when breaking crops. Okay, so very cool. So it looks like that we'll have to kind of pay attention as we play through the game and make sure that we're collecting these buddy cards, because they do some pretty cool stuff. Now, I did get one comment on the last episode that basically told me that the strainers are apparently not working at peak efficiency. So before we do anything else, we're going to fix this up. So apparently, the way the strainers work is it goes off of all the blocks around it. So I'm going to break this middle one, because essentially it looks at like the 4 sides of the strainer, and if all of those are empty, it's going to be the most efficient. So we want to put the other strainer like this, so that way each of these has 4 open sides, and those should be a bit more efficient. Now, I also got another comment that told me there might be a better way to get the straw. So the way we got straw was we milled down some rice. Now, apparently, if you use the Farmer's Delight knife and you cut tall grass, that also gives you straw. So we're going to go ahead and craft the Farmer's Delight knife and go see if we can't get some straw. There we go. Okay, so we do get straw. So I grew a lot of rice for nothing. We could have just ran around and used the knife on grass. Okay, well, definitely if you guys need some straw, the best way to get that is just to use a knife and cut some grass. So I think today we're going to get started with Tinkerer's Construct. So I really want to get myself a good set of tools, and I think Tinkerer's Construct is going to be the way to go. This is how we start ore doubling as well, so I think we'll get ore doubling and a good set of tools prepared today. Now, before we actually hop into that, I was looking through the quest book, and I noticed that there is a Tinker box in the market for 25 silver. I found this in an abandoned workshop down the road. Would you like to buy it? So I'm assuming that this gives us some stuff for Tinker's Construct to get started. So before we go any further, I think I'm going to try to buy this. And to buy that, we are a little short. So we currently have 21 silver coins, and we need 25 for the Tinker box. And to earn a bit more silver, I think it's time that we start a profession. So the bulletin board is essentially where we can collect coins and earn coins. And professions are a good way to kind of have a steady income of coins. So looking at all the different professions, I feel like where we want to start is with the fishing profession. So the fishing profession gives you an amount of coins for every 3 fish from 1 to 20. So I feel like this will be a pretty good way to have a steady supply of coins pretty early on in the game. Now, each profession costs 30 coins to basically collect. So we will need to complete another quest to do that. So I think what I'm going to try to do is complete this sampling collector achievement. So this says basically you need to collect 1 oak sapling, 1 spruce, 1 birch, 1 acacia, 1 jungle, and 1 dark oak sapling. So we need 6 total saplings, and we get 25 coins, and that'll give us enough to be able to buy the fisherman profession. And I think we'll also bookmark this quest. So what we can do is you can actually click this little pin, and that bookmarks your quest. So in your screen, it'll show up here on the left. So we can see sapling collection, 0%, oak sapling, spruce sapling, all those. The reason it's 0% is because we actually have to submit those. So I'm going to go in here, and we can submit those 3 saplings that we have. Then you can see sapling collection, 50%. We just need to collect our spruce, acacia, and dark oak. Okay, so I see a pillager patrol over there, and why that excites me is one of the quests on the bulletin board is actually to collect an ominous banner and kill 3 pillars, and that gets us 10 coins. So if we do that, we actually don't need to find the saplings today. We can use that those coins to buy our profession. So let's see if we can't take these guys out. I don't think we'll be able to, but let's give it a try. There we go, kill 3 pillager, beautiful. So now we can come in here, submit our ominous banner, claim our 3 coins, and clear bad omen, and then that quest is repeatable. So actually, every time we kill 3 of those pillars and collect a banner, we can get 5 coins, so, or 10 coins. Okay, so I just got home, and I'm glad I checked this before I did anything further. So the trade station, which you need to actually do anything with the professions, requires a brass machine, which we do not currently have the technology for. So I'm super glad that I checked that before we went ahead and bought that profession. So we're going to put the fisherman quest on hold for now. We'll definitely get it as soon as we're in the brass age, and we can actually craft the trade station and start collecting lots and lots of coins. So let's turn in our 25 silver coins and see what we get. So we got part builder, some patterns, rose gold handle, a seared brick. So we got some flint tool stuff, copper binding, cobalt handle, wooden hammerhead. Okay, so we got some actually decent stuff. So this should be enough to at least kind of help us get started. I would say that that wasn't quite what I thought, but you know what? This will definitely help us out. So to get started with Tinker's Construct, I'm going to craft this Materials and You book, which basically kind of walks you through some of the materials in the mod pack, and we can see what we want to use for getting started. Okay, so it looks like our starter materials are going to be wood, stone, flint, bone, and necrotic bone. So this book only actually brought us through the beginning materials. So what we need to do is we actually need to go to the next step. So I think we'll skip making any wood tools, and we'll jump straight to the puny smelting tab. So we need to craft a grout, which is a sand, a gravel, and a clay, and we will get the puny smelting book. So all we need to get started with a mod are a part builder, a tinker station, and a parts chest. So we'll just go ahead and place these down, and we also crafted a crafting station, which is completely optional, but it does work as basically an extra little crafting grid that we can use to help put together our parts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I can actually grab all of these parts, and these can go directly into our part chest. So we can open this up by just right-clicking the chest, or open up any one of these stations, and they all actually connect together, and we can just go from station to station. So to actually build the parts in this stage, it's really easy. All you got to do is put in your patterns, put in your materials, and then click what you want. So if you want a wood pickaxe head, all we got to do is put our wood in there, pickaxe, and then grab our pickaxe head. However, we're going to skip this step and kind of head straight into puny smelting. So I've got everything we need for our first smelter crafted up. So essentially what we need is we need a seared heater, and above that we want a seared smelter. Then to either side of that, we're going to place a casting table and a casting basin. The table allows you to cast stuff like pickaxe heads or ingots or nuggets, where the basin allows you to cast blocks. And then we're going to put 2 of these seared faucets on either end, so we can actually take the melted liquid and cast them out. Now all of this is pretty simple to craft. It was just basically a whole bunch of seared bricks, which is crafted by just smelting down some grout. And then for the smelter, we just needed a little bit of glass. So honestly, pretty easy to craft. I think we needed like 31 or 34 grout to actually craft this whole little setup, so it wasn't too expensive. So another really good reason to get a little smeltery going is I was taking a look at this metallurgy tab. And this basically teaches you how you can double ores. So the first thing we want to do is get a fortune pickaxe, because that takes us from 1 crushed ore per block to 1 to 2. So that already doubles our output right there. And then the next step is we can take the dust, which we can get from milling the crushed ore, and melt it down to get 1 to 3. So just by smelting it, it's 1 to 1. But by melting it, it's 1 to 3. So that's essentially tripling it. So if we get a fortune tool, we can double our output. And then if we melt it instead of just smelting it, we triple our output. So that's essentially getting us 6 times more efficient per crushed ore than if we were to just mine it and smelt it. So we will definitely have to make sure that we're doing that. So now that we're ready to start casting, we're going to pick what material we want. So there's a whole lot of things to consider. So there's different parts. So it's like there's the head, there's the handle, and then there's like the extra part, which is like the binding or whatnot to actually put it together. And you want to look at these different things. You want to look at the mining level, mining speed, attack damage, and durability. So you want to look at these and consider what is the best for the technology you have. For example, if we're comparing copper to iron, you can see that our durability is a little bit worse. You can see that our mining speed is actually a little bit better, but you can see that like our attack damage is worse. So we might want to use this for a mining head, but what we would not want to use it for is a sword, because the iron will actually do more damage. So I'm actually going to go through here and pick out some good materials for a pickaxe, a sword, and a mattock. So the sword or the pickaxe are pretty self-explanatory, and the mattock is actually used for all the farming stuff, so like wood cutting, hoeing ground, and shoveling. So that'll be a pretty nice tool to have right off the bat. So for my sword, I'm going to go with seared stone for the blade. It has this searing effect which says tool does bonus damage at hot areas but less in cold ones, but it actually has the highest attack damage I can get right now at 2.25. Then for the handle, I'm going to go with this flint handle. And what this does, it does attack damage times 1.1, but it also has this jagged effect, which says every point of durability lost increases damage but decreases mining speed. Because it's a sword, that doesn't really matter, but it'll do more and more damage the more durability is lost. And then for the extra, which we need a binding, we're going to go with fractured, because it has this effect where the tool is extra sharp due to broken bits of bone. So I'm assuming that, again, as it breaks, it'll start to become more and more effective. So for the pickaxe, we're going to go with a copper head. The reason is it says tool mines faster the deeper you mine, just don't mine too deep. So what that's telling me is that it's going to mine faster the lower we go. And we're also going to make the handle out of copper. But we are going to make the binding out of wood, because it says that wood is cultivated. It says tool practically grows more material when repairing. So I think every time we repair the tool with a wooden piece, it has more and more durability as time goes on. And then for our mattock, we're going to go with an iron head, a copper handle to make it a bit faster, and then a wood binding for the same reason. So we're going to start with the pickaxe, and then I will do the other two tools kind of off screen. So to actually make the pickaxe, we need 3 different things. We are going to need a tool handle, a tool binding, and a pickaxe head. So I have a pickaxe head here. I'm going to go over to my part builder to make a binding and a handle. Now our binding, we're going to leave wood, so that's already done. But for these other two, we want to cast these out of copper. So I went ahead and ground down the rest of my copper dust. We put coal in the heater. You can use coal or lava. And then I pop them in here, and you can see that those will melt down and then go into our little storage here. And you can see that we have a 9 ingot capacity. Those 3 gave us 1 ingot. So we can just go ahead and start to fill this up. And while that's filling up, what we can do is we can make our cast. So to actually make your cast at the start of the game, we can make these blank sand casts by just crafting sand. When you place those in there, all I have to do is put my head in there, and now I have a blank cast. So once this has enough, it'll be 3 ingots. We can right click on our spout, and it'll go down into our cast up, and we get our copper pickaxe head. That used up 2 ingots, so we'll throw some more in there and do the same with the tool handle. So we'll see if we got enough. We do. That looks like that only needed 1 ingot. And now we have our material for our pickaxe. So then we need to come over to our tinker station, choose the pickaxe option, put in the handle, the binding, and the head. And now we have our brand new copper pickaxe. Look at that. So here are our tools. We got our sword, our copper pickaxe, and our iron copper mattock. Now the reason you want to get into Tinker's Construct is our sword is currently at 7 attack damage and 1.68 attack speed. A diamond sword is 7 attack damage and 1.6 attack speed. So our sword is actually already better than a diamond sword. And our tools are pretty much equivalent with diamond tools as well. So we are already doing pretty good tool-wise, and we can actually even upgrade these more as time goes on. The last thing we want to do is actually make these into ingots. So the one option you have is you could fill this up to 9 ingots and cast it over here into this basin, which gives you a full block of those ores. But if you don't have enough, so we're only actually going to get 3 ingots out of this copper we have, there is actually a way to cast these out. So all you got to do is take your blank sand cast, put an ingot in there, and then right click your spout, and you can cast out into your ingot. Now this is going to use up a lot of cast pretty quickly. So what we're going to want to do is make a permanent cast. So we can make this ingot cast either by cutting a nickel plate, or what we can do is take a gold cast and cast that into a ingot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go finish casting out these 2 copper by hand, and then we'll go grab some gold and actually make a gold ingot cast, and that will be a permanent cast that we won't have to continue creating these casts. So to make your gold cast, you do have to sacrifice an ingot, so I will put a iron ingot there, and then we will melt down a single gold ingot, and then we will cast it onto here, and that will make our gold cast. So once this is melted down, we cast it here. The ingot is going to get used up, but now we have a permanent cast. So I can put my iron dust into here, and then once that's all done, we can just right click that and basically make infinite casts. Now there's one more upgrade that I'm going to do to this station, and that's try to kind of automate it. So we're going to make 2 hoppers, put one above here, which we can throw all of our iron dust into, which will automatically feed it into our melter. And then we'll also do one below, which will automatically take out our iron. So all we have to do now is just right click this seared faucet, and it will automatically smelt down our iron for us. So I'll smelt up the rest of this iron, and then we will see about doing some mining to get some more material, because that kind of used up pretty much everything we had to make just these 3 little tools. Okay, so I'm out here mining around, and I see this randomonium ore. I have... Oh, God, that almost killed me. So I know that this does something funky. I mean, clearly it just moved, but I know that if you mine this, I believe you get, like, something cool. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually build out here a bit and see. Oh, okay. Guess it does not want to be mined, but I think you get something pretty cool from actually mining this up. So let's see if we can't get it. And we got a hummingbird spawn egg. That is something pretty cool. Nice. Okay, so about 5 minutes into our mining trip, you can see that our pickaxe has broken. Now, I'm not too worried about that because in Tinkerer's Construct, tools don't break permanently. They'll break, and then you can actually repair them up and continue using them. So one of the drawbacks to using copper as our main material for both the pickaxe handle and the pickaxe head is that it breaks quite quickly. So we're going to head back up to the surface and craft a few of those sharpening kits, and that will allow us to basically repair these while we're down in the mine. So sadly, it does look like it takes 2 copper to make one of these kits, and I only have 3 copper left, so I think before we go back down deep to that mine, we'll have to find a cave that's a bit closer to the surface so we can mine up some copper to make sure that we can keep our pickaxe repaired. So all we got to do to repair it is just put it in our crafting grid, and boom. So I am having the absolute hardest time finding a natural cave entrance opening. I ended up finding another one of these mineshaft buildings before I found a cave entrance. So I think what we're going to do is just go ahead and loot this, see what we get, and hopefully we get some copper down here. So it looks like this one just ends another one of these gravel floored rooms. And again, I guess they're safe, but I really just don't trust the gravel floor. It's very suspicious that they'd make that gravel. Looks like we got some decent loot. Nothing too special. Although I've honestly been having better luck with these pots in terms of getting like special goodies than the chests themselves. So we finally found just a little bit of copper up in this hill, but we also found whatever that is. So I'm going to finish looting this village, grab that copper, and then go check that out. If we don't die to this witch that I just fought off. let's go check out this little tower and see what we got. Looks like the entrance is nowhere. Okay, looks like there's no entrance, so we'll have to break our way in. I wonder if this is like a roguelike dungeon or if there's going to be something up at the top here. Nothing. So my guess then is this is a roguelike dungeon and it's going to continue down. Just want to verify that, but we're not going to actually explore this too much if it is, because those things are very dangerous and they are absolutely huge. So this is a roguelike dungeon. These things are full of spawners. You already see one right there, and they are quite dangerous. So we are going to leave this for another time, but we do have a cave right here, so I might see if I can go ahead and grab myself some copper, if we can find some in a cave. Looks like we already did. But we will leave the actual dungeon for later. So that was one pretty successful mining trip. We got quite a lot of ores here, and this should take us at least an episode or two into the pack, and hopefully at least get us started with some more complex machinery. Now, what I want to do is I want to make a way to automate the processing of this, because I don't want to keep going up to the windmill, then back down over to my smeltery to actually cast these out into ingots. So what I'm going to do is I have all these blocks here, a little space prepared, and we're going to get this system fully automated. Now, to actually get all of these blocks, I had to dive into Crate a little more. So I did two things here. First, I have a water wheel going to a mechanical press and a mechanical press with a basin. And then over here, I have a smelting, cooking, and washing setup. So that way I can smelt, cook, and wash ores or blocks or whatever kind of semi-automatically. And we have a way to actually fully automate this we're going to be doing in just a little bit. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually upgrade my tools. So you can actually upgrade your tools with all these different effects. And the first one I think we're going to do for today is upgrade them with a diamond effect. So it says increases durability, mining speed, and attack damage. We're going to upgrade all of our tools with diamond. That's to just make them a little bit easier to use, do a little more damage, mine a little bit faster, and all around just be a little bit better. And here it is, our little auto smelting casting machine. This thing should work pretty good for us. It's actually going to finally be taking us from 1-to-1 ores fully automatically. So we're crushing it, smelting it, casting it, and ores end up down here. So all we got to do to get this going is put some coal or any flammable object in this back chest here that goes down into our heater. Then on this top chest, we put in all of our crushed ore that will flow down into our millstone and then into our seared melter. So you can see that our zinc dust is coming through here. It's going to start to melt up, and then it flows down into our casting table, automatically gets pulled down into our chest. So now we are fully automating our ore processing. So now we have all of these different machines for blacksmithing and like toolsmithing. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of time and actually build up a bit of a blacksmith building over here. So I'm going to use a mixture of these charred planks, which were found in a desolation biome, these polished darkstone bricks, which are found kind of like all the way down by bedrock, and then this twisted wood, which we got from the sapling we found last episode. So without further ado, let's make a blacksmith. So we made a little bit of progress on the build here. So the blacksmith has kind of gotten started. We've got our water wheel out here, which runs our mechanical presses. We've got a little bit of a workspace kind of out front here. And then I was visited by a wandering trader, if he doesn't end up killing himself, who is selling an underground bastion map. So we're going to go ahead and grab a compass and 38 emeralds, because I think we have enough to purchase that right now. And we will buy the map. Thank you for your service. So it looks like we're way up in the corner, so we'll have to explore this another day, but it's really cool that we were able to find this, and hopefully sometime soon we can go venture out and see if we can find this underground bastion. So here is the blacksmith building all finished up. I'm super duper happy with how this turned out. This is definitely going to be like a living building. As we get further into Tinker's Construct or other stuff that's kind of like smeltery related, we are going to be expanding on this and adding stuff on the inside, but that's kind of why it's so open and empty right now. So we leave lots of space for future projects, but for now what we got is we have our little Tinker station / crafting area outside. Inside we've got our mechanical press setup with one at the basin, one just a press. Then over here we have a washing, cooking, and smelting setup. This is actually fully automatic, so if you put a stack of items at the front here, there's a hopper under this last slab, so as it kind of gets pushed by the fan, by the time it reaches here, it's fully cooked up and automatically goes down into this chest. And then back behind that over here is where we have our little ore refinery. So put ores in the top, it travels down here, gets melted and fully refined. And then we just have a little bit of a storage area here where I'm storing all of my ingots, nuggets, redstone, and gems. So I'm really happy with how this little place turned out, and I'm excited to see how it evolves throughout the rest of the series. So with that done, I did a lot of Austrian adventuring to kind of get all the materials for that, and just kind of explore my world a little more, and ended up with 18 buddy card packs. So we're going to open all these up and see what we get. Oh my god. Okay, so that is quite a few buddy cards. Let me get these all sorted out, and I will get them organized on my wall, and we will see how close we are to completing this first set of buddy cards. So that was a really successful pack opening. We ended up with a whole bunch of extras, and we don't have a full complete set of either the shiny ones or the not shiny ones, but we did end up getting a full complete set of cards. So anywhere where there's a gap in the 9 shiny ones, we actually found a gap in the shiny ones. So we ended up getting our buddy base set medal. So we can go ahead and throw that on in our medal slot right away. And now we have speed 1. And we'll have to get some enchanting done because this can actually be enchanted with buddy binding and buddy boost. So we'll see if we can't get that done pretty soon here. So apparently under the shipments tab, under this early shipping, you can actually turn in 30 coins and you get a trade station and a sterling dynamo to actually run the trade system. And that's repeatable. So for every 30 coins we get, we can actually get a new trade system. So I think we actually do have enough from that. So yeah, we got 64 coins. So that's actually enough to buy the trade system as well as a profession. So let's actually just go ahead and do that. So we'll buy our trade system. We get the trade station and a sterling dynamo. And then we're also going to go ahead and buy the fisherman profession, which will allow us to actually do some trading. So we'll also go ahead and grab all of our fish. So basically I'm going to grab anything that I have more than 3 of, because it says you need 3 fish to trade. And then we'll also grab something that can be smelted, because the sterling dynamo essentially runs off of basically fuel. So we'll grab a little bit of spruce wood. So we're just going to place a sterling dynamo facing into the trade system, feed it some wood, and now what I can do is I can put in our profession and then start trading some fish. Okay, so apparently, oh, that's bad news. Apparently they upped this from 3 fish to 8 fish. Well, that is disappointing. I still think that this is going to be a pretty decent early game source of coins, but that means we're going to have to do a little bit more work than I thought, and we're going to have to get some fishing going sooner than later. So there are actually a few more things that I wanted to highlight in our quest book. First off, I actually completed 2 of these lifesaver quests. The first one is to have the immersive map, which is basically collecting or crafting an antique atlas. So I was actually able to find an antique atlas. And basically what that is it's like the FDB map, so you can press M to get this map, but it's kind of just a more realistic version where you have this like little book you can open up, and it still lets you like set waypoints and like see where like villages are and everything, but it's a little more immersive and a little bit better. So I'll probably be trying to use the Antique Atlas as much as possible versus the FTB map. And the other thing I did was I actually crafted up a toolbox. That was just to kind of help me get started with collecting all of our wood and stone for building the blacksmith of the last episode. Now there's two here that I actually am going to be focusing on today. So one is friend. It says placing a carved pumpkin on a hay bale creates a straw golem. So I'll try to do this today because it says that it helps growing our crops or taking care of them. And farming is a big thing we're going to be doing today. So I think that'll help us get started with that. And then we'll also probably craft a stove and kind of get into some farmer's delight and do a little bit of cooking as well as our farming today. So we've got a very big episode ahead of us. So there's a lot of farming that I actually want to get fully automated today. The first one is I want to take this pond and get our kelp and rice fully automated. So I've got an idea that we're going to kind of expand this little pond and we're going to be growing kelp and rice and be automating that in its own little closed system so we can get lots of rice for food and then have the kelp for all of our create contraptions. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a little animal farm down in this little cove here. So basically I'm going to take out all these little trees and build some animal pens so we can start getting some meat and wool and all that good stuff going. I'm also going to tear out all the trees up here and put in a big crop farm. And then back behind the windmill, we're going to put in a automatic wood farm. So looking at our quest book, I think we're going to try to take this quest line all the way down. So all the way from automating logs all the way down to automating slabs. And then we're also going to complete our underwater garden task and basically automate kelp. So with those two things fully automated and our food situation sorted a little bit better, I think we'll be pretty good in the next episode to hopefully jump down into fully automating andesite machines. But without any further ado, let's get started building our farms. So with all of these trees that we have to clear for our projects today, one super cool trick that I'm sure a lot of you already know is that you can actually take the mechanical saw from Create, place it by a tree, grab a crank, and then just turn that crank. You can actually chop down trees all at once. And what's super duper cool about this is you can actually pick those back up, place it down on your next one, and you can actually connect trees together. So what I can do is I can place that here, and then just take some logs, connect those trees up, and then when I saw this one, it'll actually saw both of those trees. So as we go and collect more wood, we can just kind of like connect more trees up together and very quickly just kind of level this whole forest. And this even works on these like tall, funky trees like this that are always a pain in the butt to chop down. You can see just like that, we fully chopped it down. Man, this is just a sad looking bird that I'm just taking away his home. Kind of makes you feel bad. And in just a few minutes, we managed to completely deforest almost everything around, and it looks really, really good. I am in love with the terrain variation we have around here, and it was all kind of hidden by the trees, so I'm really glad we took the time to actually take all those out, and now we can kind of plan our builds around like the really cool terrain and make sure that we have lots of like land variation and cool stuff going on with our base. So with all those trees taken out, we ended up filling our inventory up pretty quickly. So what I'm actually going to do is jump into the storage drawer mod. So what the storage drawer mod essentially allows you to do is store bulk items in a single block. So each of these blocks can hold 32 stacks by default. You can actually upgrade these all the way up to 32 times base value. So to craft these, we need to craft these oak trims, which are just made by a chest, some zinc ingots, and some wood planks. So we're going to go ahead and craft up a few of those. So we can get 8 of those going, and then you put them in a stone cutter, or you use the create block cutting to get whatever type you want. So I think we're going to go for these doubles for now, and we can just put a few of them up in here. All you got to do to store stuff is just right click the slot you want it stored, and it will automatically put all of the items in that slot. And to take stuff out, all you do is shift and then click to take out a stack, or you can just click if you just want one at a time. But we're going to take all of our sticks out of there, put them in there, and then put our saplings in there. And we gotta make this at least somewhat organized. Keep the birch with the birch and the spruce or the oak with the oak. And now we have all that stored right up here in just those 3 blocks, and we have a nice clean inventory ready to start our projects. Alrighty, so we have our plot for our crop farm prepared. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a minecart harvester system. So I've got everything kind of set off to the side here that I need to make for that. And we have the technology to do all of this except the mechanical belt. So mechanical belt recipe has changed. Originally it was just kind of dried kelp, but now you need this cured rubber, which is made by smelting down rubber, which is made by either compacting vines in water, flowers in water, or like cabbage or whatever else, or by compacting this resin. I think this resin is going to be the easiest, like kind of permanent way to do this. I think temporarily, just to get us started here, we'll just compact some flowers. But once we start our tree farm, I think what we'll do is we make some of these arboreal extractors so we can start collecting some resin from trees and like start automatically compacting that. Because we're going to need a whole lot of belts in this world, and having to go around and collect flowers for each belt we make is going to become quite a pain in the butt pretty quickly here. So just a little bit of a tip for you guys. While bone meal does work to grow these rose bushes, which is what I'm going to be using for crafting all of our rubber, you can actually craft this phyto grow, which is 2 apatite, a niter, and a piece of sand. And you get a ton of apatite down in the caves, and these actually work on the roses too. The cool part about these is they don't use it up every time you use it. So you can see I have 16, 15, 15, 15, 15, 14. So I just got 3 grows out of a single phyto grow. So I'll be able to use these to really get a whole lot of flowers going here by just crafting up a whole bunch of this phyto grow. Okay, so I was able to collect everything that we're going to need to get started with building our cart contraption. So to actually build our contraption, we have a cart assembler with a minecart in it. And then the first thing we want to do is craft a wrench, which is pretty easy to craft. It's just 3 gold sheets, a cog, and a stick. And then what we want to do is we want to go to this little box that's going to show up, and we want to scroll down to lock rotation. So that way when it gets to the end, it doesn't turn around, it just kind of heads straight back in the same orientation. On top of the cart assembly, we're going to place a chassis, and we're going to make that sticky by just using a slime ball and right-clicking it. The way I got this slime is I actually found a slime island, and basically that had a bunch of slime blocks on it that I was able to basically break and collect a bunch of slime balls. And now what we're going to do is we're going to place our harvesters. So by default, you can't actually just place the harvesters down. So we actually do have to place kind of like a little backing behind the harvesters, and once that's down, we can go ahead and place all of these on that backing. And then once those are all placed, we can just go back through and break all the wood behind that, and they'll actually stay in place. That way we don't have to have chassis going all the way down, we can just have the one chassis at the end. So now that that's done, we need to make sure these are all connected up. So to do that, you're going to grab your wrench, hover over your linear chassis, and it shows me that it's going out 8 blocks. We need this to go all the way to the end. So we're going to just scroll on this little number, and we scroll all the way to 16, and that way it's going to connect all of these harvesters with just a single chassis. Now on the other end, there's 2 things we need to do. First thing is we need to place a chest on the end, so that way it has an inventory. So as it goes down, back, and forth, it has a place to actually put all of the blocks and items it's collecting. And then on the end of that, we're going to put a portable storage interface, and that's what's going to actually be able to take the items from here and put them into our storage system. So we're just going to do that, and that way as it goes back and forth, it'll interface here and put the items back. So we can go ahead and flip this lever to test it out. You see interfaces right away, and oh, looks like we're going to get stuck at the end here. So that's going to be a problem. So I think we're going to want to craft a controller rail if possible. But it looks like, okay, we do not quite have the technology for electron tube yet. So let me go grab some more rails, and we'll just do a bit of a ramp, and then it can go up the ramp and it'll kind of force itself back down. Okay, so apparently we do actually have some controller rails, and I think where we got those was from those mine shafts that I found a whole bunch of. I believe those have a controller rail at the top, which basically holds a minecart. So we can actually just grab that and put that on the end, and it'll work out for us. So let's get this cart out of our way. We'll put it in our controller rail, and now when it goes down and comes back, it'll automatically turn around and go back down. So it'll come this way, interface with our storage interface, hit the rail, and then head back. So our last step before we actually start putting crops in is to be able to take items from our cart and put them into a storage system. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to take a shaft and a belt. We're just going to have a belt go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Now you can use as many as you want. I'm going to stick with this size because I think that's all the storage we're going to need. And I'm going to put a funnel on the back of this. So now once we power this belt, it'll be automatically taking items from our cart into our belt. Now to actually store those items, I actually crafted a few more of these storage drawers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place these on top of the belts. And I'll build a cute little building around this when we're done. And I can just place these going down like that, and then put the funnels on the back of that. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to automatically filter out into the storage drawers. So, for example, if we had a piece of wheat and a seed coming through, as it goes through here, if this drawer has a wheat and a seed, it'll go into this drawer. But if it had, let's say, carrots and potatoes, it would go skip this one and go into the next one. So not only will we have plenty of storage and be automatically taking stuff out, we'll be automatically sorting it too. So we just completed our first successful harvest of the farm, and it is looking pretty darn nice. So I finished kind of building up our little garden here. We've got our harvester line kind of like hidden in this little cove area, which I thought looked quite nice to kind of hide it away as it's kind of depositing items. Then we have our little garden here with everything that we had seeds for. So I think it ended up looking really, really nice. I decided to go for more of a kind of like local homegrown garden feel. I think as we kind of progress and expand, we'll do a more industrial vibe, but for now, I'm super duper happy with how this turned out. For our rice, which had to grow in water, we actually built this little pond. And for our sugarcane, we only want to harvest the top. So we actually have it kind of coming down here, and we have this little sugarcane cove where we're growing all of that. And I think it looks really nice. So I will let this finish processing all of the stuff we got. So it's just coming out of our cart contraption onto this line. And it's kind of just coming down here and being funneled into the next open spot. We do have a overflow chest at the end because I noticed when I was kind of setting this whole up that we do from time to time get buddy cards. So we want to have a place that isn't a storage door for those buddy cards, because if we have buddy cards, that'll take up a whole slot with just a single card. So we want to make sure that we're storing that somewhere other than in our storage drawers. So that was quite a successful harvest. So you can see some stuff like sugarcane, we got well over a stack, but everything else we got at least 32. So you can see up at the top in my Wayla, it actually tells you what you have. So I have 23 wheat, 24, you can see the number going up there. So I got at least half a stack of everything from just one harvest and over a stack of some stuff. So this will just kind of be running in the background, and I'll take a look at all the stuff we got and see what we can cook up. We might need to get some meat going first. So I'm going to try to get some animal pens down here so that way we have that available. But yeah, I think this little farm was pretty darn successful. And we finally got a second cow. Oh my god, that took forever. I ended up adventuring quite a lot. Like I went all the way up here, all the way over here. I ended up finding a cow like in this plains biome way up here. But we were able to get him home, and we actually got quite a bit of loot. I found a few of those mine shafts. We found that roguelike dungeon that we're going to be able to explore pretty soon here. But yeah, so now we got all of our animals. We'll slowly kind of breed these guys up and grow up a little farm. And it should work out pretty good for us. So our animal farm is going to take just a little bit of time to kind of get up to the point where we can start harvesting them for meat. So I was looking through the Farmer's Delight menu, I guess you could almost say, and kind of seeing what we can make now that actually has a pretty good food output. And what I found is that ratatouille actually gives a pretty decent amount of hunger and saturation, and it's beetroot, onion, tomato, and then any vegetable. So that's actually pretty cheap for us right now, and we're growing all of those things. So we're going to go ahead and grab a stack of each of those. So tomato, beetroot, onion, and then it was any other vegetable, and we're just going to grab potatoes because we have plenty of those. And to actually cook stuff with Farmer's Delight, what you need is you need a stove and a pot. So you just place down the stove, then you place the pot on top of there, and then in the pot is where you do all the cooking. So I need to put bowls in this slot here, and I need to put all my ingredients in the space here, and you can see that it will slowly cook up our ratatouille. And that's going to be quite a big upgrade from our bread, so we can cook that up, grab it out of here, and start dining good. So this is definitely going to need a little more work, and we'll upgrade it as we go, but I think this is a good little start to our kitchen. And you can see that we are starting to get lots and lots of ratatouille. So the one issue with these is they do only stack up to 16. Also, as we eat them, we'll get bowls as kind of like an extra thing we need to keep in our inventory. But honestly, that's not too much of a trade-off from having so much saturation and then giving us the nourishment buff. The next farm we're going to put together is the kelp farm. So I have this little spot prepared. We've got my little dock that comes out to this little farm. And we're going to do something a little bit funky with our kelp farm. We're actually going to be using a windmill bearing. Now, the reason we're going to be using a windmill bearing is we won't actually have to power this at all. We can have it basically power itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to place down our windmill bearing and then make this sticky. And we're actually using a radial chassis on its side because I want the windmill kind of like sticking down below the water, kind of almost looking like it's almost like a blade. So we can connect up our mechanical harvesters here. And then I want to do my sails kind of like underneath that. It'll kind of look like it's all just kind of being pushed along by the sails, and I think it'll look kind of neat. So we shouldn't be able to activate this yet. First, let's make sure we're connecting everything up. We are. But you'll notice we are also connecting the ground. So we'll need to go through here and break all of the dirt underneath the sails temporarily. Now we should be able to, we got to take this stuff out too. And then we should be good to activate our bearing here. And it will start going around. Oh, we did get some dirt. Okay, let's stop that. So it looks like it was able to connect there for some reason. But it looks like we're good now. So this will just kind of go around. And I'm going to plant kelp on this bottom layer, and it should, when it grows, it should be harvested by the top layer. Last step is we just need to put a chest on it. So we are going to stop that again and just go on top. We'll do that. And then I don't have a chest, but we'll just put a chest right on there for its inventory. And then on the end over here, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our portable storage interface, put it like that. Then we're going to put our other portable storage interface here. And what we're going to do to connect this one up is we're just going to make this real simple. All we're going to do is put a hopper underneath this interface and then put a storage drawer underneath that. So we'll do a storage drawer down at the bottom here and then a hopper on top of that. And so what'll happen is it'll go down into the hopper and then down into our storage drawer. And then we can just come over here whenever we need some kelp and collect it right out of our drawer. So we can see as it kind of goes by, any kelp that's too tall it'll actually harvest. So you can see any of this kelp that has already started to grow. It will just harvest it as it goes past, and then when it gets around to our interface, it'll connect up, and then we can watch our kelp kind of go through our hopper down into our storage drawer, which we can then take out, and we will continue planting our field and just kind of fill this whole little space up. So I got everything that we need to set up our tree farm. So we're going to do this pretty similar to the crop farm, where we're going to have a rail and then just a section of land where it can plant the trees. And it's going to be very similar, but with one small difference. So we're going to place the mechanical saws down at the bottom here, basically in place of the harvesters, and these will chop down the whole tree. But then up at the top here, we need to place some deployers. And the whole point of the deployers is these will replant the saplings because the saws break the trees and don't automatically replant the saplings. So what we're going to have to do is actually set our saplings to go in here. So all we got to do for that is right click a sapling on the filter slot. So that way, whenever it collects more saplings, it'll automatically go into the hands. And then you can just right click the hand to actually place the saplings directly into the hand. So then we're going to come over here and put on our portable storage interface. And then we will worry about the processing and storage of this in a bit, but we can get this started right now after we get our chest attached. So chest, portable storage interface, saws, deployers, looks like we're good to go. We can go ahead and turn this on and it will plant all of the trees. So here is our finished tree farm. So you can see it's having a little bit of trouble like fully keeping up, but I think it's keeping up well enough. So essentially what's going on is our portable storage interface is coming out of an andesite funnel down here. It goes up this belt, and then that goes into our storage and processing area. So it comes up the belt and then takes this turn. There you can see our little tree farm going away. So it kind of goes through all the trees, chops them all down as it goes. Anyway, so it comes up here, goes onto that belt, and then at each of these drawers, there's an andesite funnel behind it. And if that funnel matches the item, it'll actually go down into that drawer. So for example, our logs go into the log drawer. Now, something you'll notice is that we have all these other drawers down here. The reason for that is we want to automatically start processing all of this stuff down. So we're automatically making logs already. We want to be making stripped logs, planks, and plank slabs. So the way we're doing that is with an overflow system. So I'm just going to break this to kind of like emulate as if it was full. And the way this works is that as stuff goes by the belts, and if that funnel is full, essentially that drawer is full, it'll get funneled onto the saw. It'll get cut down into the next stage. So our logs turn into stripped logs, which turn into planks, which then finally turn into slabs. So the main drawback to this system is we really have to wait until this is full before we can start filling up these other ones, but I think that'll happen sooner than we think as we kind of do stuff in this world, because this thing works pretty darn fast. We're already at 15 stacks, and this has not been running for very long at all. So pretty quickly here we'll have a just about unlimited supply of all this stuff in these drawers. So I am really quite happy with how these turned out. We got an awesome kelp farm, an awesome crop farm, a decent animal farm, and then a really good tree farm, which is automatically processing down all of our wood. Now what I do want to do is I want to actually make little buildings. So I want to make some like houses for all of our animals. I want to make a storage shed over by our farm, and I want to make a sawmill building over by our wood farm, so that way we have all of our stuff kind of contained in like little aesthetic buildings. I think that'll look really cool in this area, and I really like the spaces they're all kind of located in. But I think that's going to have to wait till next time because we have to open our buddy card packs for the day. And as you may remember, in the last episode, we completed our base set card set. So the next set we have is the Farmer's Delight set. Not necessarily the next set, but it's the next one that we're actually starting to collect some cards for. So all of these cards we've got from our farm. It just automatically collects cards from time to time. But we've also got some of these buddy beans. And what we can use those buddy beans for is we can cook those down. So 2 buddy beans, 2 shredded buddy cards, some sugar, and some pork gets us a buddy card pack and a canvas. So I think we will try to craft up as many of those as we can. Looks like we have 21 buddy beans. So put one of those back, and we should be able to make 10 Farmer's Delight packs, which we can then take all of these and see where we're at in completing our Farmer's Delight set. So the pork and sugar are pretty easy to get, and then the buddy beans are just gotten from farming any Farmer's Delight crops. Then the last thing we actually need is we needed shredded buddy cards. There are 2 ways to do this. Either use crushing wheels, which we don't quite have yet, or you use a cutting board on any card and you get a shredded buddy card. So we're going to need 20 total shredded buddy cards, and luckily we have quite a few duplicates. So all we're going to do is take a bunch of these duplicates and then shred them down until we have 20 cards. So all you got to do is right click on a cutting board and then right click that with a knife, and you shred down the cards. Alrighty, so then all we got to do is we got to actually cook down our buddy cards. So we're going to place canvas in this slot here. We're going to get our sugar, our shredded buddy cards, our buddy beans, and our pork chops. And then it will slowly cook down into our card packs. Looks like that's going to take quite a while, so I'll get all of these extras put away, and then we will come back with all the Farming Delight cards we already have and see where we're at in completing the Farmer's Delight set. Okay, so from those 10 packs plus what we had in our farm, we're a good way of completing this set. So there's another 27 cards we do have to collect, and we've got 16 out of the 27 with quite a few of them being shiny. We also got quite a few extras that we can chop up to help make more of these Farmer's Delight buddy cards. Plus, we got a whole bunch of these buddy gummies, which we can apparently cut down into assorted buddy gummies and have a little bit of a food. 1, 2, looks like we have gummy 1, 3, 5, and 4. So maybe we'll just hang on to these and see if we can't collect the whole buddy gummy set as well as collecting all the other sets. In this episode, we're going to semi-automatically be creating kinetic mechanisms. And then in the next episode, I want to fully automatically be pumping out andesite machines at a pretty fast rate. Now what that'll do for us is it'll make any future factories really easy to build, as all of our basic materials will be produced pretty much automatically through these andesite machines. Now to get there, we do have a few more steps. So we have to automate andesite, automate clay, and then it's pretty much just combining all of the stuff together. So we have our wood done, we have our sand done, we have our kelp done. We can actually check that off. And then we just have to basically mix it, smelt it, mix it again, and then use deployers to craft our kinetic mechanisms. So there are actually a few more quests in here that we were able to finish up. So keeping in shape, we jumped 16,000 times. We can go ahead and claim our coins there. The ranch, breed 10 animals, we completed that. And then down in lifesavers, we did the joy of cooking, where we crafted a stove, and we crafted some storage doors, which gives us some upgrade templates. So the first thing we're going to do in today's episode is kind of finish up the projects we were working on last time. For our crop farm, I didn't actually make any changes. It seems to be running pretty well all on its own. The only thing that I might do is I might eventually replace all of this farmland with rich soil. Rich soil is from Farmer's Delight. It's actually relatively easy to craft. You just need to craft this organic compound and then pretty much just let it decompose down into rich soil. So we'll try to build some of that hopefully by the end of the episode. But we also need to build a house to kind of store all of our barrels. So we'll get that going today. And then for the tree farm, I actually did make 2 small upgrades. The first thing I did is I put a chute underneath the portable storage interface instead of the funnel, because that way it can actually transfer 16 items at a time, and it basically empties this out a lot faster and lets it kind of keep up better with our tree farm. The second thing I did up here is I put some blocks with levers underneath. So what that does for us is as these come by, if I say wanted to craft some oak planks instead of the stripped logs, I could just turn off that funnel with the flick of the lever, and it'll bypass the funnel and go on to the next step where we're storing up some planks. So I'll probably leave this one flipped for now, because realistically 27 stacks of stripped logs is going to be more than we're ever going to need, and these other 2 are going to be kind of more important to make sure that we're getting. And then we're also just going to try to build a little sawmill over this area. Okay, so I just found this little wandering trader. I'm just getting ready to start the builds, and I found this guy, and he was selling a globe. So we went ahead and bought the globe, and the reason that excites me is one of our quests in the bulletin board is to give the quest a globe, and then we get 2 gold coins. The reason that really excites me is each gold coin is worth a whole stack of silver coins. And so that'll basically mean that we can buy every single one of these professions right off the bat. And we might actually buy a few trade stations too. And that'll basically allow us to trade away any excess materials we have. So any extra food or mob drops or ores, that we can actually just trade those away. So that'll be super good to have. Thank you for your service. And here it is, the somewhat finished versions of our new farming house and our sawmill. So I'm super happy with how the sawmill turned out. So we got all these like wood piles and boxes hanging out outside. And then inside I've just kind of got this like open concept building with these really neat looking black roof tiles from XK's Deco. I'm not 100% sure if I love them or not. I definitely like them, but I don't know if blocks just look better. So you guys will have to let me know how you like these roof blocks. And then inside here, we've got all of our storage. I did two little changes. First is that I upgraded our oak log storage because that actually filled up. So all of these barrels were actually completely full. So I decided to upgrade this one. Then I also added this little trade system. So I purchased the carpentry profession so that we can just dump logs in here and they go down to this dynamo and the trade system, and they actually just get us a whole bunch of coins. So when this is filled up, every like 30 to 40 minutes or so, you can just come over here, empty it out, put it into this chest, and it automatically generates us a whole bunch of coins. And then right over here is where I have my little farmhouse. Now, the farmhouse is not quite as finished as the sawmill. The inside basically is, as you can see, pretty bare bones. And this definitely will be upgraded in the future. But out back here is kind of where I did most of the work. I added this little flower patch and a little bamboo field. So this is basically for whenever I want a bunch of these flowers. Oopsie. You can actually bone meal these or phyto grow them. So if I wanted more peonies, I could just come over here with phyto grow and just grow a whole bunch of them. And the bamboo cannot be harvested by harvesters. Oops, there it is. So I decided to plant a little bamboo field here because we hadn't managed to find some out in our world. And then on the inside here, I just also added some drawers where I can store all of my flowers and bamboo and stuff. So our little world is definitely starting to kind of come together here. I really like how adding just those two little buildings really made this whole space more busy, and it kind of brings it all together. The last part of today is I want to build a new workshop. And I'm either going to build it over there by those plains biome or over here in this little valley area. The reason I want to kind of build it out a bit further is because eventually when we get into building train systems, I definitely want a train stop at my workshop. So I think I might actually pick over here because that gives me a ton of room in the back here to kind of expand and build further. The other big thing I really need to do with that workshop is get my inventory situation figured out because pretty much all of these chests are filled to the brim, and so I've just started to kind of dump stuff wherever it has open space. So as you can see, most of these are pretty unorganized, and all the material I've been using to actually build all of our new buildings, I don't even have room to store all of it. So I think the first thing we're going to do when we set up our new workshop is get a new storage system set up, so that way we can actually get better organized, and it will really help us with building and different projects we have going on in the world. So we are now officially moved out of the windmill. So I don't think I'm going to have time today to actually build out the workshop. But I've got a nice little base set up. We've got a small like outside area down here where we've got my toolboxes hanging out. And then up here we have our big storage wall where we're storing a whole bunch of stuff. We have a bunch of storage drawers up here for anything that we have an excess amount of. And then over here, I actually crafted one of these metal barrels. I crafted an arcane barrel. And essentially what that does is just gives you more storage in a single block. So eventually I'd like to upgrade all of these to either arcane or cobalt barrels. But to get cobalt, we need to get to the nether, which we are not quite ready for. But yeah, and then I got my little workshop area right here. The last step is I want to kind of build my andesite production line. And we have pretty much everything done for that. We've got our kelp and clay pretty much done. The last thing we need is wood, which we have, and then we just need the andesite. So I think it's time to make an andesite generator. Gathering andesite manually takes time. Thankfully, bedrock can cause lava to form from andesite infinitely. This time it's best to set up drills to break generator blocks between lava and water. I'm assuming that means lava and bedrock. I'll have to do some investigation to figure out how exactly we actually generate this andesite. So I'm just in a creative world to show you guys quickly how the andesite generation works. So essentially you just want to build a regular cobble gen with bedrock below it, and it'll actually kind of scroll through all of the different cobblestones that aren't regular cobblestones. So if we just go over here, search cobblestone, I believe we can get granite, limestone, diorite, dolomite, and andesite and limestone. I think that's everything we can get. So not only will we have to mine this, but we'll also have to figure out a way to automatically sort this so that way we're not clogging up our system with all the stuff that we might want for building but don't necessarily need for andesite production. And here are our andesite generator machines. I am super happy with how these little things turned out. We are right under my base. I just built a little elevator to kind of get up and down really quick. And the machines are just running off a single water wheel. That's kind of the only downside to these right now, is that they definitely should be sped up. And eventually I'll do that, but because it's right under my base, these things are going to be kind of just passively getting me andesite. And I think that'll be enough for now. So the way these work is it's the water wheel runs a mechanical drill and a encased fan. And then we have our cobblestone generator over a piece of bedrock, which gives us the different stones. And the fan blows it into a hopper, which then goes into a chest here where we can collect everything up. And yeah, so I just went ahead and built 4 of these little machines. I'm sure we'll upgrade them in terms of the speed pretty soon here, but these should at least get us through a little bit. And I think we are now finally ready to set up our kinetic mechanism sequenced assembly, because we're pretty much automating everything we need to build the kinetic mechanisms. Alrighty, and here it is, our semi-automatic kinetic mechanism machine. So all we're doing here is we're popping slabs down through this barrel, which we are getting from our automatic tree farm way over there. And then we have these 2 deployers, which have andesite going from these 2 drawers, which right now we're kind of just manually making from our clay and our kelp, which we're automating both of those. Our kelp is down there and our clay is only semi-automated. So we're automating sand with strainers, and then we just kind of feed it through a washing machine to get our clay. And then we just kind of craft up the bricks by hand and also combine it with the andesite by hand, which we are getting down from our little andesite generator. And then we just feed it into these barrels and it makes them automatically. And it looks like we are out of andesite in this one. So all we got to do to fill it back up is just pop it into that barrel and it'll keep building. And then on this last one, we just have to kind of feed it some saws. So it'll slowly use up the durability on those. So we'll just have to make a few saws as we go and fill this up as it runs out. So I'll just kind of feed this up as I need more kinetic mechanisms, and I think it'll work out pretty good for us. So we did a whole lot of work today in terms of just kind of cleaning up some of our projects and getting ready for moving on with a modpack. So the next episode, we're going to take this little concept of this machine and we're going to fully automate it. So that way we're producing andesite machines fully automatically. And we're not only going to just produce andesite machines, but we're also going to produce the kinetic mechanisms. And we're going to way overproduce on these. So right now, we really don't need too much to get started. But if you look at the uses on these, those get us into the sealed mechanisms. They also get us into the precision mechanisms, which then go into all the different mechanisms. So what we're going to try to do is way overproduce in kinetic mechanisms. So that way we can just kind of pull from this factory that we're going to make in the next episode and never have to set up a kinetic mechanism line again. Oh no. Okay. So as is our tradition, I was coming over here to grab all of our farming buddy cards and buddy beans to end off the episode, and it looks like we are full on some of these drawers. So I did go ahead and craft some upgrades. So we're just going to go ahead and upgrade every single one of these drawers, so that way it stores a little bit more blocks, and then we will just kind of grab all this stuff out of here, feed it back into the system so it sorts out, and we should be good to go. Okay, well that makes my job easy. Looks like with just the cards we had here, we were able to get our Farmer's Delight Buddy Medal, which is super cool. So what that does is it gives the nourishment buff, which I believe means we do not have to eat while we have this medal on. Let me just look that up to verify. Okay, yeah, so the nourishment buff just essentially means that we don't lose saturation or hunger from running around or jumping or anything. So that means as long as we have this medal equipped, we don't ever have to eat. So I'll hang on to the base set buddy medal, but I think we're going to keep that nourishment on because that's going to really make our lives easy. As for the buddy beans, I think we'll just hang on to them for now. Looks like we eventually will want to craft them down into buddy card packs, because it looks like there are some other stuff that we can do with them. So we'll hang on to them and see what we want to use them for in the future, but let's fill up our wall and see how it looks. Okay, so I guess there are not actually 27 cards in this pack. There's only 19, which, you know what, that works for me, because that means it's a little easier to complete. So yeah, we got our base set pack and our Farmer's Delight pack. What I might try to do is open up some more Farmer's Delight packs and base set packs to see if we can't get all shiny cards, because that would be a pretty cool flex to have all shinies, but we'll see what happens in the next episodes in terms of getting buddy cards. So today's going to be an absolute humongous episode, so I went ahead and wrote myself a little to-do list to help kind of keep track of everything that we need to get done today. So the first thing we're going to do is get all of our tools upgraded. So I want to make a new set of Tinker tools, which I spent quite a lot of time looking through the books and figuring out what I think is pretty much the perfect set of materials and upgrades that we can do at the current stage. We also want to upgrade our backpack. I'm actually going to keep our current backpack as kind of like a tool storage pack, and then actually craft a new one with literally all of the upgrades that we can put on it. Then I also want to get some armor going, so that way we can do some adventuring and stuff and not have to worry about dying too much. The second thing we got to do is we want to go mining. So I need to do a caving trip. We're a little low on resources, so I want to get down there and see what we can find. And I also want to try to tackle a roguelike dungeon. So that'll probably be really exciting, and I'm excited to go through that and see what spawners we can get. That's the main reason I want to do that. The third thing is we need to prepare for our mega factory. So I need to actually design the machines we're going to put in it, dig to bedrock so that we can actually mine our andesite, and I also need to collect all of the building blocks to actually build out our factory. And then our last step here for the day is we need to complete the factory. So we need to connect up all our machines so we're automatically producing. There's one more little note that should be in there, which is bug fix. So anything that's overproducing or underproducing, we need to actually solve and make sure that we're producing the right amount of stuff. Then we also need to build the actual building around it. So we got a lot to do, so without any further ado, let's hop right into upgrading all of our tools. And here it is, our fully upgraded backpack. So this looks like an entire, yeah, this is, I think, more than an entire double chest of space that we can just kind of carry around with us. This is sweet. This will really help us out with all of the mining and building we have to do today. So super glad I got that done. Alrighty, so for our armor, I think what we're going to try to do is get a full set of buddy steel armor. So the whole point of buddy steel armor is essentially the more metals you have, the stronger this is. So it starts off at chainmail level and gets stronger and stronger as you get more packs. Because we actually have two metals, we have the base set and the Farmer's Delight metal, hopefully that'll be pretty strong right off the bat here. Now to actually make this buddy steel, we need this buddy steel blend, which we need shredded buddy cards, which is super easy for us to get, but then we also need blocks of iron and blocks of lapis, which we do not quite have enough of yet. So I think I'll just make some iron armor for now, and then we'll do some mining to actually get those blocks ready so we can make our buddy steel armor. Now, the other thing that I've seen in the comments quite a few times is to make some sky slime boots and slings. So essentially what this does is it basically allows you to negate all fall damage. So it doesn't actually add any armor, but we essentially won't take fall damage. We just kind of bounce. I believe you can hold shift to stop, and then you will take fall damage, but that's pretty cool. And then the slime sling, you can pull it back and then fire yourself off. Oh, looks like they changed this. Oh, it's not nearly as powerful. It used to be in old versions, you do it like the way you're going from it, it would sling you off, but now it looks like it goes towards the direction you're going. It used to be a lot more powerful, I believe, but this is still pretty darn good and should help us get around our world a little bit faster. Alrighty, now that we got our backpack done, we can start working on getting our tinker tools. Now to get to the next level, we need to build a large smeltery for that. So to build that smeltery, we need a few different things. We need a smeltery drain, a smeltery controller, and a fuel tank. And then we also just need a whole bunch of stones to actually build it up. The one thing that's kind of holding us back from that is making sealed mechanisms. So it actually says that's a bonus assembly in chapter 1A. So if we go in here, go under overview, through to 1A is copper machinery. Now we do actually have the capability to make these right now by hand, so that's just with some cured rubber and a kinetic mechanism. So it's pretty nice to know that we are going to eventually need to make those. So we can actually start automating rubber sooner than later. So we don't only need it for belts, we also need it for these sealed mechanisms. So now we can just go ahead and craft up our smeltery controller, get the rest of these, and build our large smeltery. So to get the smeltery going, we do need these seared fuel tanks, which we need to fill up with lava. And one cool thing that this pack has is these Eldwood buckets, which can hold actually 3 buckets of lava per one of these. And I found a few of these out in the world in those mine shafts, but some of these are filled with suspicious stew. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take off my nourishment debuff, see if we can't eat up all this stew, and go collect a whole bunch of lava. Oops. Oh no. That sucks. Oh no. This is such a sad looking death. Alright. Oh god, the body's just floating. Oh, what the hell? Why are those placing? What is going on? What? Okay, so I have a theory. Looks like lava is cooking my buckets. I think that's what's happening at least. So I guess those buckets cannot be used for lava. That is, I guess, very good to know. Alright, so it looks like the seared lava tanks do actually just hold lava in them. So I'll just place these 3 down and I guess fill them up by hand because our fancy elderwood buckets don't seem to actually work. So I think this is a good of place as any to actually build our smeltery. So I definitely want to have it in our blacksmith building. And I think right in this corner it might look pretty good. So let's clear out a space in the wall. And I think I want to place it out a little bit. So I'm going to have my tanks here, controller, casting table, and my drain. And then we can put a faucet off to the side here. The reason I want to put the drain on the corner is because I could put another faucet here and a basin if I want to take out whole blocks. But I think for now, just that table will work. And then all we got to do is build up this wall. Then we need a floor and 3 more walls to actually complete our smeltery. I'm actually going to put a ladder off to the side here. So that way, for any reason we need to get up, we can just kind of climb up this ladder and then access the top of our smeltery. And with that, we have our smeltery. So to know it's actually working correctly, all you want to do is right-click on the smeltery controller, and it'll bring you into this GUI, which is basically showing you all the spaces you have to smelt. So with this one over here, our little puny smeltery, we only had 3 slots to actually smelt stuff down. But with this one, we have a whole bunch, and this can actually be upgraded. So it can not only go wider, but it can also go taller. So as we go here, we might make this taller if we need more smelting capabilities. So to actually get into crafting some of the higher tier tools, we need the Tinker's Anvil. Now the Tinker's Anvil is made out of these slime steel blocks, which is the first thing we're going to have to alloy. So alloying is essentially the process of combining two or more materials into one material. So example, for this one, we need one molten iron, one sky slime, and one ingot gets us 2 slime steel ingots. So go ahead and put in a sky slime ball, an iron ingot, and a seared brick, and those will slowly melt up. So you can see our sky slime goes in here, and then it looks like our brick will probably be next, but those should complete at right around the same time. You can see those complete up, and now we have our slime steel. So we can go ahead and take it out here, and we have our first alloy. So I'll go ahead and craft 27 of these up so we can go ahead and look at some of the new tools that we're going to have access to. So one trick that I saw from the comments is apparently this timer that we have over here is not actually necessary for activating our faucet. I guess in the new update, a lever works just fine. And look at that, it does. And there we go, our new Tinker Anvil. So what the Tinker Anvil allows us to do, it allows us to make the cleaver, the broad axe, the excavator, the scythe, the sledgehammer, and the vein hammer. So the tools I'm going to be making in this episode is I want to make a cleaver as my new main weapon. I want to get a new pickaxe and a new mattock. And then I also want to craft a excavator and a sledgehammer so that way I can mine a 3x3 section. So that'll be really useful for collecting all of the building blocks we're going to need today. Then I'm also going to make a vein hammer for mining. So that'll be really nice for actually being down in the mines and collecting lots of stuff at once. Now having the alloying ability really unlocks a lot of new materials for us, but one thing I do want to mention is all of these stuff in this book you do not actually have access to. So for example, steel, there's no way to actually craft steel tools in the mod pack right now. So definitely watch out for that and make sure you can actually use it before you decide to go with it. Same thing with electrum. You can't actually craft electrum right now. So the main materials I'm going to be using is rose gold. It has the highest mining speed of anything else in the pack. It also has this enhance, which says rose gold goes great with bonus upgrades. So I think that means that like the upgrades are more effective. I'm also going to be using a lot of slime steel. And the reason I'm using slime steel is it gives you this over slime ability. And what that does is you can essentially feed it slime instead of durability. So as I'm mining, I can basically feed it slime crystals instead of it taking durability, which will make our repair cost super, super cheap. So I'll be making sure to either have a one piece of slime steel on every single one of our tools. And then for our cleaver, we're going to be using this knottle wood because it gives a lacerating effect, which basically means that it causes the target to bleed, and also has the highest attack damage of anything else in the pack. So I will go ahead and craft those up off camera and then show you what we got and show you which modifiers we're going to be adding to the tools. So to actually craft the knottle planks, we need to mix sky stone and water, and that gives us our violet sky solution. And that can be used to actually craft the planks. So what I did is I went ahead and put a mixer set up here. So I've got a mechanical mixer above a basin, and then I've got a mechanical pump on the side here going into our foundry. So essentially all I need to do is I need to grab my sky stone and a bucket of water. And then I need to put the water in here and then the sky stone, and that will mix up and craft our knottle stuff. I wanted to go ahead and take the sky stone out, and then when I flick this lever that turns on the pump, I just have a clutch underneath here, and that pumps it into here, and that way we can see we have our one bucket of a violet sky solution. Rose gold is going to be a little more complicated because we need to actually alloy copper and gold, but it has to be in a mixer. To craft up this rose gold, I think what I'm going to do is let's see if we can get away with 2 ingots at a time. So 2 copper ingots and 2 gold ingots we're going to put into our smelter, let those cook up. Then now that those are done, we need to alloy them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my wrench, reverse the mechanical pump, and turn on the pump. It should pump out the gold and the copper. Mix those up. and get us our rose gold. And now that that's done, we just reverse our pump again, and that'll pump our rose gold back into our system. And here are our finished tools. I'm really happy with how these turned out. They are so much better than my old tools, and I think they're going to work out pretty good for us. So they all have a piece of slime steel, so they all have the over slime ability, and then I put a piece of diamond on all of them. The other upgrade I did is I put a golden apple on the sword, pickaxe, hammer, and excavator, so that way we have more modifier slots. You can see each of these has 3 upgrades, our pickaxe has 5 upgrades left, and our cleaver has 2 upgrades left. Now some of the other stuff I did is for our mattock. I did silky for the ability, and for our bronze steel vein hammer I did luck for our special abilities, so that way we can get more ores when we're down mining. Now to actually keep these repaired, what I went ahead and did is I upgraded our tree farm. So I added a second section of slimy grass, which is why I needed the silk touch on my mattock, and then I have these skyroot saplings because the leaves from those trees drop slime balls. So essentially what I did is over here in our little sawmill, I have a new section for slime balls. So whenever my tools start to get damaged, what I can do is I can come over here, and I really need to lock these drawers so it's the same stuff. Oh man. Anyway, so when the tool gets damaged, I can just come over here, grab some slime balls, and then smelt these up. And then once those are smelted up, what I can do is I can go ahead and apply those to my tools. So if I go ahead and put my pickaxe in here, you can see that its base durability is 605, but over slime gives me another 210 durability. So now when I take it out of here, that extra 210 durability. And the way we're actually basically raising our extra durability is if you put an obsidian plate in here and then take molten slime steel and pour it on. What it does is it creates these reinforcements, and then I'm basically just stacking up reinforcements on our tools. So you can see it says overforced 1, 21 out of 24. If I add another one, it's 22 out of 24, and it's over slime went from 210 to 214. So for most of my tools, I only need to do like 1 level of that, because you can see it kind of scales with the amount of durability. So for example, with my bronze steel sledgehammer, I already have 580 over slime, even though it's only overforce 13 out of 24. So the gold pickaxe is probably the only one I'm going to need to go to overforce 2 or more, and everything else I'll just max out at overforce 1. So the other thing I went ahead and did is crafted up my buddy steel armor. So this is made like from the buddy card stuff. It was actually pretty simple to craft. All I had to do was cook up this buddy steel blend, which is made from a block of iron and a lapis block, and then combine that with either shredded buddy cards or full buddy cards. And that gives me my armor. For some reason, our power is only at 7%, even though I thought we had 2 full sets complete. So I'm guessing what's going on there is it needs to be like full sets, like shinies and non-shinies. So we'll definitely have to open up a few more cards and make sure that we get this armor fully upgraded, because 7% is not going to be nearly enough strength. So we're at 2%, or plus 2 armor, plus 5 armor, plus 4 armor, which is actually worse than iron right now. So we'll definitely have to get this upgraded sooner than later. So now that we have all of our tools upgraded, I think we're going to skip go mining for now, and we're going to jump straight into preparing for our factory. So let's actually start out with digging to bedrock, so that way we kind of get a good layout of where our factory is going to go, and then we'll design our machines, and then we'll collect blocks to actually build up our factory. So the first thing I did is I went ahead and laid out where my factory was going to be. Now the reason this was really important is because this is not going to be the location of our main final base. So what I really wanted to do is make sure that everything was within a few chunk borders. So we've got 2 chunks off to the side and then like 4 chunks in the middle. So that way, like when we eventually want to leave this area and chunk load it, it'll be really easy to chunk load our whole factory at once. And then I just kind of started digging down a, what would it be, a 6x6 hole all the way down to bedrock. If I were to do one thing differently is I would have dug this hole 7x7 or 5x5 because the even numbers is kind of hard to get the pulley to look nice. We have to do a little bit more work when we actually get around to decorating it. So once I got down all the way to bedrock, I ended up actually finding a dungeon in one of the caves down here. So I think pretty soon we'll have to grab the spawner from that and set up some kind of cool mob spawner. Then just kind of went up and then dug down the other side. And then once that was done, what I did was I went ahead and started digging out our bottom area. So for our bottom area, I just went ahead and kind of duplicated our 4 chunks that are up at the top down at the bedrock. The reason I needed so much space for this andesite farm is because you don't know what andesite pattern you're going to get. So digging out more area is better than digging out less area. Just because like you want to make sure that you have a lot to work with. It'll make it a lot easier in the long run in terms of getting your whole factory put together. So then once I was done digging out my basement area, I went back up to the surface to start working on my foundation. So for the foundation, I used some gabbro bricks and some Maya stone with a few factory block accents, and I really like how it turned out, especially with the factory blocks kind of in the center, outlining our whole bedrock. I really like it. So all I kind of did was I just kind of laid a basic foundation. I only wanted to go this far because I want to build my factory before I build my walls. So that way I can kind of like leave openings and highlight really cool parts of the factory or kind of hide stuff that maybe doesn't look quite as good. So one thing I did to make my life a whole lot easier is I went ahead and made a schematic of both our andesite mine location and our factory foundation. Now the reason I did this is kind of twofold. First is just to make designing the machine a whole lot easier, so I can just pop it into Creative World, design it there, and then use a schematic cannon to place all of the machinery. And then the second big reason is just to help save on crafting time. What I can do this way is I can craft exactly the machines I need, versus if I were to do it all in survival, I'd have to overcraft or undercraft or do a lot more planning beforehand, where this, when I popped in the schematic cannon, it essentially just gives me a little checklist. It tells me exactly what I need. So to actually make your schematic, you're going to use a schematic and quill and just kind of select the location you want. And then to actually place it down in the world, you're going to grab a schematic table, put an empty schematic in it, and then it'll just kind of load up your schematic into the paper and you can just place it down wherever you'd like. So here I am in my creative world where I just pasted down our foundation and our andesite farm location. Now I did these as 2 separate schematics because if it was one schematic, it'd probably be a bit too big, and you have to be really careful with schematics because if they do get too big, you can potentially corrupt your world. So you do want to be careful with schematics and make them a relatively small size. Alrighty, so here is the essentially base machines that we need for our mega factory. So over here we have our kelp and wood farm. When I actually build this in my world, I am going to change these for spruce saplings, but other than that, it's going to be pretty much as is. So it's running off of a windmill bearing, and essentially we got 2 layers of kelp farm and then our tree farm up top. And then there is our portable storage interface where we actually have 3 andesite funnels just to kind of speed it up and make sure that we're keeping up with our farm. And those go onto a belt here where we are taking out our spruce logs, our kelp, and our saplings, and those saplings will just be voided. Then over here is where we have our strainer farm. So this chest leads up into the farm, and what this does is it actually supplies the strainer bases with the strainers themselves. So essentially if a chute is underneath a belt, the item will go down the chute and into whatever's below it. So this will automatically supply all of our strainer bases with strainers. Then down below it is where we're actually taking the sand out and processing it. So it comes along here, and there's a drawer for clay and a drawer for sand. Both of those are locked, so it's essentially working as a filter. Sadly, the filtering is pretty cumbersome right now. We have to use drawers. There's essentially no other way to filter, but it'll definitely work for now. So the sand comes through the second one, and I have a line of fans here that'll be blowing water onto them so we can wash the sand as it comes down along here. And then it goes into this drawer here. And the reason we need this drawer at the end is because like if this one isn't done processing, it'll basically wait until it's done processing to go through. And it looks like we actually need to move this drawer up or add another fan because this one at the end here won't actually be being washed. So what we'll have to do is essentially just add a second fan down at the end, and we'll need another shaft on that fan. Then we can belt it up. Then extend our water, so we'll put a block there and a block there, and that'll work. And so now it'll be washing all the way along. So then the clay from that first line, right from the strainers, and then the clay from being washed both come down onto this belt here. Now the last system we have is our andesite farm. So this is going to be kind of our way up and down from the andesite farm and back. So this will be fully automated to basically activate and deactivate on like a cycle. So it'll go down, collect a bunch of andesite, come up, deposit it all, and it should work out pretty nicely. So I'm going to flick this lever and go down. So we've got one pulley kind of running this little lift. It's going to come down, and then once it's down, these little chest contraptions pop out. And what this does is essentially takes andesite from this chest and drops it down into this chest via the chute. So you can see we're getting andesite in this one, and then we're getting gabbro, granite, and diorite in this one. And then that system is on its own little timer, so it's got a powered latch. So essentially right away it activates, pushes out from these mechanical pistons. Then after 39 seconds, which is exactly enough time to fill up an entire chest, it activates back out, and then we would set up a timer to kind of lift the whole system back up. Now the way we're actually filling this is with this little machine I have here. So on either side we have these belts going through up into our system, but then over here is where we're actually generating our stones. So right now I'm just running with a creative motor. I will be putting in some survival power, but essentially what it's doing is there's a drill above here and then a fan behind it, and then down here we have a weighted ejector. So as soon as this breaks, it gets blown onto the ejector and then ejected off onto the belt. So then it gets flung over here onto the belt, and then we have a sorter here. So this one sorts out the gabbro, granite, and diorite. So that goes into that kind of middle chest, and that way we only have andesite on our end chests. So that way we don't have to do a bunch of belt work from each of these little modules. And essentially what I'm going to do to basically scale up our production is I'm just going to build a whole bunch of these modules all around here wherever I have space on the bedrock. So our little contraption will come all the way up to the top, stop there, and then we would have belts bringing stuff out from these chests. So got a little more work to do. I got to get all of my belt work done, get all these connected, get all of them powered up, and then I also need to do our second processing where we're mixing, smelting, and pressing everything together. Then eventually we'll have a sequence assembly line where we're finally building our kinetic mechanisms. So with our factory building complete, I have some thoughts on the process. I'm going to hold off till the end of the video to actually tell you guys what I think and what I would do differently, but I think we're ready to build it in our world. So to actually take our schematic and basically place it in our world, you need empty schematic, gunpowder, and a schematic cannon, and a schematic table. And then optionally, you'd want a book. So I'm going to go ahead and load up our factory part 1, which is kind of our whole upper area, and you're going to see that slowly loading. Now, one thing that I would say is absolutely necessary to do is to make a backup of your world. If this schematic is too big, essentially when I go to place it down, my world will be corrupted and I will lose everything. So you do want to be really careful with schematics and take your time with it. Make sure to make backups. And if you do have a schematic that's too big, just place it in 2 parts. So it's really not too big of a deal to do differently if you have to. So let's go ahead and place this down. So I'm just going to right click and it looks like we're good. So we're going to get this into position. Looks like we're pretty close, kind of right off the bat. And it looks like right there. Yep, right there is going to be where we're going to want it. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to place down my schematic cannon, place my schematic in it, place gunpowder in it, and then put a book up here. And what that book's going to do is get us a material checklist, which basically tells us everything we need to get. So the first thing it says is it wants 15 andesite casings. So I'll go over here, and I think I have a few of those. If not, I can craft those up pretty easily. Okay, I've got 48 of those, so I easily have 15. And then I'm also going to grab a chest. I'm going to grab 4 of those because we might need 2 sets. And then what I'm going to do is put the chest next to it, put my andesite casings in. It wanted 15. Put those in there. And now what I could do is I can put my material checklist back in, and I can see that that's now no longer showing up. So essentially what you can do is as you're going through here, you can actually check stuff off and kind of keep track of where you're at. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to get my entire schematic all filled out. I'll get my material checklist done, and we can watch the schematic cannon go. All right, so that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. So got my material checklist. Everything is checked off and ready to go. Ended up going with 2 chests here. Just to make sure we had room for everything. And the last step is just to go in the cannon and click go. So here we are in our andesite machine factory. This thing is wild. The belt work is crazy, and there's probably a better way to do it, but you know what? I'm absolutely in love with how it turned out. There's so much activity. It's generating us a ton of stuff, and I really, really do like it. So what we're doing is essentially over here, we have these 3 trade stations, which are for extra kelp, extra clay, which we turn into bricks, and extra wood, and that generates us coins. So we don't have too many coins yet, but as this thing kind of progresses and we start to see where our bottlenecks are, we'll start to get like a lot of coins from that. And you can see here we have 1,200 kinetic mechanisms, 400 andesite, and 2,000 andesite casings. And this has been running for less than a half hour. This thing is absolutely wild. The only thing we have to supply it with is saws right here, where you can see our deployers are right behind that. And then over around here, we do have to supply the strainers with the like strainer meshes. But other than that, I mean, this thing is running pretty darn well. So to walk you guys through how this whole thing actually works, we're going to start down here in our andesite mines. So I've got 3 of these andesite like mining machines on each side. Each of like the 4 corners. It flings its blocks down into the middle. We sort it out here, and then it goes up here into these chests. And then we'll wait for that to come down, and this will essentially deposit the chests. Oops. Looks like we had some sort of issue with kinetic mechanisms. But anyway, it'll extend this out, and we'll drop our chests down into our elevator. So we'll wait for that to come back down. So here comes our elevator, and the second it hits the bottom here, there is a redstone contact there, which basically sends it a signal to pull out the chests. And you can see these start to fill up. Now, I do have a huge bottleneck with getting rid of our diorite, gabbro, and granite. So I'll have to figure out something to do there because this is easily overflowing. It's not actually going to clog our system at all because it is essentially being voided, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. So the elevator comes all the way up to the top, and then it interacts with these belts. So we're going to start by following this gray belt. So this gray belt essentially takes all of our raw andesite. So it comes out of the four corners, which is where andesite is stored, and then it comes right up here into our mixers. So these lines of mixers are mixing the andesite with the kelp blocks, which those come from over here. So that's the clay farm. I did do one change from when I showed it off earlier. I went ahead and put hoppers going into the strainers because you can't actually drop stuff from the top. It has to come from the side. So that's one small change I had to make there. Then the clay comes down through here, and that goes into these mixers, which get the kelp from our kelp and tree farm. I did make a change over there. I swapped it from spruce to dark oak. I think we get a bit more wood from that. And those mix up to get our algal blend, which then comes down here, gets cooked up into our algal bricks right there. And then that also goes into the mixers, which gets us our andesite alloy. Now this one down at the end here is essentially splitting it off into two. Half of them are going on to join the rest of the andesite alloy, and half of them are going into storage. So that's how I were able to kind of store andesite alloy. So we'll follow this dark gray line around here, which is our andesite alloy, which kind of comes down through here, and it gets split off here. So half of it goes into this basin, which gets logs, and that makes our andesite casing. And then oh god, I keep running into the saws. Then the other half goes over there to where our deployers are actually putting the andesites onto our slabs. So we're getting the slabs from our wood farm. So we have our logs coming in here, which go through here, and they get split. Half of them go to a mixer, half of them go to saws, and then our overflow goes up here to be voided. And we essentially saw it down into slabs, which then go into two places. First, they overflow to basically act as the smelting ingredient for our trade stations. And then the other ones flow through here onto our deployer line. And our deployer line is what actually makes our kinetic mechanisms. So then the last set of contraptions we have going on here are all of these red belts. So these red belts are essentially all going to our void line. So our clay travels along here, gets melted into bricks, which gets compressed into brick blocks, and that goes over there to be sold. Our kelp travels, it travels down over there on that line, and that goes over to be sold. And then all of our stones that aren't andesite travel along this belt. And I'm just storing these for now because I want to actually have them. But I did need to put a void upgrade on here because this filled up really, really fast. So that's a pretty basic explanation of how this all works. If you guys do want to dig in deep into how this all works, let me know if you want to see a schematic. And if you do, I'll leave a pinned comment showing you guys how you can download the schematic for yourselves. So let's take a look at our to-do list. So we did not get around to doing a mining trip, and we definitely did not get around to doing a roguelike dungeon. I would say our preparation, though, is done, so we can knock that off. And then our last step is to connect the machines and build the building. We connected the machines. We did not get around to building the building in today's episode. That will have to wait, but I think we got a really good start here, and if we go ahead and look at our quest book, go into our high aspirations, we are automating clay. We are automating the algal blend. Oh, we got to actually turn some in. So turn in our algal blend. We can click that off, and then we need a brick, which will also just kind of snag from our line. Oops. So we'll complete that, and then we will need our andesite alloy. We are automating that. Kinetic mechanisms, we are automating that. So let's go grab our one mechanism for that. So then we do have a saw, so we can go ahead and grab a saw. I don't have these automated yet. Eventually we might do that, but for now we're just kind of going to leave it as is. And then we are automating our andesite mechanisms, and we cannot automate andesite machines quite yet. The reason we can't do that is because we don't have automated crafting, which you do need for that. So once we get, oh God, get out of here. So once we get into the brass age, we will be able to automate that, but that will have to actually hold off. So put our andesite machine in there, connect mechanisms around, get our andesite machine, check that off, and we will run away from the pillagers. And it looks like from completing that, we get some kinetic mechanisms, redstone dust, and iron ingots. Oh my God, buzz off. Oh no, ah. Alright, anyway, where were we? So, chapter 1 complete. Congrats, now you have passive supply of kinetic mechanisms. This is bound to change the pace quite a bit. Oh my God. Could you not? Congratulations. you now have a passive supply of kinetic mechanisms. This is bound to change the pace a bit. Before moving on, check back thoroughly to your factory for any major bottlenecks. We will have to do that. So after this runs for a bit, we'll figure out what is our main bottleneck, and we can essentially just up the production of that. And now we can move on to the next section. So we're going to wait on that for the next episode. We did actually check off a few of these. So big barrels. Oh, I thought I did that last episode. We crafted the big barrel. Anyway, we did that. I ended up crafting a construction wand just to make the whole placing of the base a lot easier. And then we also did our schematic cannon, which checks that off. All right, so with that absolute behemoth of an episode, let's end it off by opening some buddy cards and seeing if we can't get our armor to be a little more powerful. So we're going to start off by seeing if we can't finish up our basic deck with what we have left. We have, let's see, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more shinies to go. And then after that, if we have extras, we'll craft some Farmer's Delight packs and see if we can't finish that one up too. Alright, so that was a little bit of a letdown from all those packs. We only ended up getting 3 more shinies, but let's see if that upgraded our armor at all. So to actually tell if you've upgraded it, you just put it in your hotbar, right click it. Oh, there we go. It went up to 8%. So a little bit better. We'll slowly kind of work our way through getting all the buddy cards. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 more shinies of the basic deck. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the Farmer's Delight pack. So the next episode we'll have to make sure to get some more packs so we can actually get those going. So today I went ahead and updated my to-do list. So the first thing we're going to do is actually complete our factory. So I want to complete the build and I want to bug fix. So look to see if there's any issues or big bottlenecks. So essentially areas of the factory where we're underproducing that we can go ahead and fix and make sure that everything's keeping up. We also want to do some adventuring. So I want to go to the Nether and I wanted to get some mining done. And I'll kind of go into why I want to do that in the next section, which is entering the brass age. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to kind of craft all the stuff we need to craft our brass and copper mechanisms. Although we won't be getting into too much automation today, but that definitely will be coming up sooner than later. Then the last thing I want to do is finish up our workshop. So I want to get all of our brass crafting stuff done and implemented, as well as kind of build our actual building and clean up for the next stages of the pack. Okay, so I was looking at how many kinetic mechanisms and stuff we got, and I noticed that it really started to slow down, and that's because our lift decided to go down a little too far, it looks like, and also something messed up here and broke a bunch of belts. So I grabbed some belts to fix that, but I just now realized that our lift got messed up. Okay, so essentially what happens is if the chunks become unloaded, what can happen is it'll kind of keep going down even though it's hit bedrock. So essentially our machine has been voided. So I am going to have to completely rebuild our little lift system and fix all that belt work up there, which that blows. So I got some of the stuff we're gonna need to put this back together, and I ended up getting stuck down there when I went down, so I just made myself a little emergency staircase to get out. But I'm gonna show you guys how you can make sure that that does not happen to you. So if you go and press M, or in your inventory you click on FTB chunks, you get this little mini map. And you can click claimed chunks, and in here if you basically click the chunks you want to claim and then you shift click those to force load them. So Now my entire factory is being force loaded, and even if I run off way far away and I'm doing something else or go to the nether, this will stay loaded. Now you do only get 25 chunks you can force load. So the other option is to craft a chunk loader from chicken chunks, which is just an enchanting table, some gold, and an ender pearl. So that's also pretty cheap. So once we run into that 25 chunk claim we can essentially do, then we can start crafting ourselves some chunk loaders. But this will keep it loaded, and that'll actually be really nice for if we're off in the world doing something. We'll continue to get all of our andesite machine stuff. Okay, so with our contact in, all of our chests and belts done, I went ahead and replaced our whole system down there, so we'll just wait for this to activate back down. We'll take a ride down and see if that fixed everything. Hopefully it did. So we should get down to the bottom. It should actuate out, deposit all of our materials. So it should hit that, go out. There we go. Okay, thank God it's fixed. So we're going to head into the nether in just a little bit, but I've already prepared a few materials for our factory building. We've got the Maya stone, which we're using for the floor, these charred planks, which look really cool when you craft them down into the trapdoors and stuff, some gabbro, probably for the walls, some glass for windows, factory blocks, some chisels, and then these hollow steel frames from XK's Deco, which honestly look really quite cool. I don't know if we'll use it outside the building too much, but it'll look really cool to have some frames inside the building. So without any further ado, let's hop right into a time lapse and we'll see this building completed in just a few seconds. And here it is, the finished andesite factory. I am absolutely in love with how this thing turned out. I think the combination of these factory blocks and the gabbro look really good together. And then with these steel half beams from XK's Deco to kind of bring a little bit more interest and detail into the building, I think it all looks really quite nice together. And yeah, I think it'll work pretty well for us here. So inside here, I didn't do too much. One thing you might notice is that there's currently no back wall to the building, but that's actually on purpose because eventually what I want to do is I want to build a big train station to actually export the kinetic mechanisms, andesite alloy, and andesite casings to our eventual mega factory. So we're going to leave that open because I don't really know what my train station is going to look like quite yet, but so yeah, I think this place is really starting to come together. There's a little bit more work I want to do on the outside.
add a bunch of like trees and like vines going up the sides of the building to kind of like bring a little more detail into it. And then on the inside, I eventually want to add some lighting and like big beams going across the ceiling. But I think for now, we'll call that good for this episode, and we will finish the project off in another episode.
Alrighty, so before we head off into the Nether, I do want to just briefly show off the next few chapters in our quest book. So the first one is we unlock this chapter 1B, which essentially walks us through creating copper mechanisms fully automated. Now really all we need to do for that is automate cured rubber, which we get from our boreal extractors, which then get us raw rubber, which we can then cook down into cured rubber, and then craft into our sealed mechanisms using our kinetic mechanisms. So that'll be really easy to automate. So then moving on to the brass tier where we're making precision mechanisms, this all looks really quite complicated, but it's actually a lot easier than it looks. Essentially, all we need to do is automate quartz and redstone, which in this mod pack, there are some really cool ways to do that. So I think it'll be really good to go to the Nether first, because what we can do is we can actually get some quartz right away, use that to build our first few brass machines, and get started with the brass age. So without any further ado, let's go to the Nether. Oh, awesome. We spawned into the Salt Delta. This is perfect. It may not seem like a perfect biome, but I really love building with the basalt bricks and dark stone, so I think this will actually work out pretty nice for us. The only issue being quartz might be a little harder to come by, so we'll have to... Oh my god! Instantly dying. So we'll have to do a little bit of exploring and kind of figure out where would be a good place to look for quartz. Okay, so to make sure that doesn't happen, one thing that I saw a few people recommend is to make a grappling hook. And I'm not sure what these upgrades do. Magnet attached, motor enhanced, double hook, rocket, double hook, motor enhanced. I think we'll just use the regular hook and just kind of figure out how it works, but that should make it a little bit easier to get around the Nether and hopefully not die too many times. Alright, so let's test out this grappling hook. So we throw it and then swing. Oh, okay. That might take a little bit of getting used to, but I think if we're relatively careful about it, it shouldn't be too bad. Oh, this is a gnarly biome. Is that a ruined portal up there, or is that just part of this biome? I think that's just part of this biome. There's a whole bunch of these little obsidian, crying obsidian patches. That's super cool. Oh, and look, there's another fortress right there. Awesome. Let's see if we can't use our slime sling, grappling hooks, and boots to make it over there. Okay. Oh god, there's wither skeletons. I should have expected that. Oh my god. First skeleton. Oh my god, 2 skulls immediately. Amazing. This is amazing. Hopefully we don't die. Wow. Because I know this cleaver gives a beheading effect, but 2 skulls on our first 2 withers. Is that... Let's see if this guy drops a 3rd one. That feels like really high rates. Oh! Oh god, don't lag. Oh god. Oh my god. Of course, as soon as I get there, I get a leg spike. Yeah, I know, blame the leg, right? You know, I bet he would have dropped a wither skull, and that's why he killed us. He was like, oh, I don't think you're ready to fight the wither, which I definitely am not. Boom. And no skulls, so we must have got really quite lucky with that first 2 skulls on our first 2 wither skeletons. Oh, and a 3rd one. Okay, I guess they must be pretty common then, with the beheading effect on the cleaver. Still cool nonetheless. Oh my god. Ah, oh god, I hooked myself to the ground. No. Oh, so So this isn't another fortress. This is just a spawner. I don't know if that's exciting or disappointing. Honestly, a little disappointing. But I guess we will take it. I mean, a piglin spawner is pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure what we'd use it for other than a gold farm. Actually, you know what? That would make a fantastic gold farm. No, this is awesome. Oh, I'm super glad I found this. Never mind. I am very happy to find this. Okay, this feels like a good place to test out the grappling hook. Like, I want to, like, swing down along there. Like, oh, like, flying off. Let's test this out. Oh. Oh, man. That was so disappointing. I thought I'd just go, like, flying off and I could just, like, keep grappling off the ceiling. Whatever. We'll just bounce around. Ooh, a bastion. Oh, that's sweet. We will definitely be checking that out. I'm also going to harvest this whole thing. I love these little, like, bone, I guess, skeletons you can find. Such a good supply of bone meal early on. So, is that also a fortress? It's just another one of those piglin spawners. Is that a ghast in the bastion? Oh, that is so cool. I mean, absolutely terrifying, but that's awesome. Never seen that before. See if you can't get this guy. Oh god. Oh no, oh no. That's weird. They're not all mad at me. It's just a few of them. Okay, it might be a lot of them. Let's get some blocks on my hotbar. Okay, so it's just the brute that's mad? That sucks, because those guys are the worst to deal with. Can I get to that chest from here? Oh, netherite scrap. Amazing. Ooh, we got a Tinker Island over there. I do want to see if we can't get over there. I wonder if I could grappling hook off of here and swing down there. Should we try it? We're going to try it. Oh, 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 oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Okay, so I am going to be done with another for just a little bit. I have a ton of deaths. I think went from 17 to 26 deaths just in that little short nether adventure I went on. So we're going to hold off on doing too much more nether exploration for now. So let's look at what it's going to take to enter the Brass Age. So now let's start working on a precision mechanism. So we have a deployer line set up over here already, which we can basically repurpose from originally as making kinetic mechanisms. We can just repurpose that into making our precision mechanisms. And then for our electron tubes, we need a spout, which we can just fill with some molten iron with our polished rose quartz. That'll be pretty easy to do. And then we also need some rose quartz, and we need to sand it to get our polished rose quartz. So both of those are really quite simple. So I'm over here in my blacksmith building because there's two different materials that we need to be crafting up. The first one is going to be brass itself. So in this mod pack, the way you get brass is by casting it from molten brass, which is done by mixing molten copper and molten zinc. So we already have that setup pretty much done here. All we need to do is put copper and zinc into our smeltery, reverse this direction of this mechanical pump, and then I have this system that'll already mix it up automatically for us. And then we just reverse the direction of the mechanical pump back into the smeltery, and then we can cast it out into ingots. So that'll be relatively straightforward. And I think we have some here. Yeah, so we can just go ahead and take 10 of each because the recipe is 1-to-1. I will put those in. I will turn off my auto casting, and then we will grab our wrench. So then as soon as that's smelted up, we will reverse the direction of this. You'll see our zinc goes in. Then after that, our copper will go in, and it looks like we're full up here. So it looks like we cannot do 10 at once. Let me figure out how much this basin can hold so we know how much we can do. Okay, so it looks like you can hold 7 ingots worth of each material. So we've got 7 ingots of zinc and 7 ingots of copper, which should mix together to 14 ingots of brass, which we can then cast out here. Easy as that. The next thing we need to do is actually fill
some molten iron into polished rose quartz to get our electron tubes. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a second pipe coming off here, and we will grab a spout, so that way we can have a little filling station right next to our mixing basin. So let's go craft that up. So to actually get our cured rubber, I'm going to stick with a recipe where you put flowers and you press them in a basin. So all you got to do is craft up some flowers, put them in a basin with some water, and that gets you your rubber. So we're going to stick with that recipe for now, and then in a future episode, we'll craft up those arboreal extractors so we can automate this a bit easier, because this process is a little bit tedious right now. So we got the rubber for our sealed mechanisms, and getting the kinetic mechanisms is easy, just coming over here and grabbing a stack. That is so nice, because those things are so annoying to craft, but then we can do this, get our sealed mechanisms. So we're going to go ahead and craft up our copper casings, and we'll just craft up both of these, then put sealed mechanisms around that. And then for our spout, we're just going to put in our copper machine and a hopper, which gets us our spout. So the next step is to craft a depot, because we need to have the spout over the depot. And then we'll craft a second drain, so we can have a pipe coming out here going into the spout. So also with that, looks like our brass is done mixing up. Looks like it did not finish fully. So let's pump this out and see how much we actually got to craft, and that way we know how many ingots we can do at once. So 6 nuggets, 8 ingots. That's a odd number. So I'm guessing let's try to do 6 at a time, because it looks like it was able to do just under 7. So let me gonna reverse the direction until I see brass in the funnel, like right there. And that should mix down. Oh, it looks like it's not going to, because it's not a full ingot. Oh, that's too bad. So we had a little bit of waste here, but in the future we know that we can do 6 brass at a time in our system. So all you gotta do to do this is hold the rose quartz in your offhand, and then hold sandpaper in your other hand, and then hold right click, and you kind of sand it down into your polished rose quartz. So now that we've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and throw some iron into our smeltery, which we're then going to pump over here into our spout. And then I'm just going to go ahead and place down my rose quartz, and as soon as that's there, it should start going down into it. There we go. We are making our electron tubes just like that. Sweet. So I think that's all the steps we need to make our precision mechanisms. We just need to craft a screwdriver, which is just some blue dye and some iron, easy as that. So we'll do that, and we'll get our first brass machine done. All right, so we'll clear off all the old junk from our little deployer line here. Just toss it over there, we don't need that anymore. And then we will put our kinetic mechanisms in first, and then we will put in our electron tubes, split into the next 2 drawers. And then the last step is to craft up that screwdriver. So let's see if we have the die for it. We do. So 2 blue dye, and it was 3 iron. Oh man, we are almost out of iron. I think in the next episode, what we're gonna do is craft up an iron generator. I think it is far overdue, so we'll just try to get that done in the next episode. And there we go. We are crafting our precision mechanisms. Awesome. So we got our 8 precision mechanisms. We will grab a log. We will combine that with our brass sheet, get our brass casing, go around there, and we have now officially entered the brass age. How cool is that? So the brass age opens up a whole lot of stuff for us. It opens up mechanical crafters so we can auto craft stuff. It opens up trade stations so we don't have to keep buying them. It opens up item terminals, which is from Pretty Pipes. I'm not entirely sure what that does. This allows viewing and requesting of items in a pipe network. Oh, so that might help making a storage system. It adds a flare lantern which places invisible lights. Then it also adds a pipe pressurizer from Pretty Pipes. But then what I'm really excited about is brass tunnels, brass funnels, stockpile switches, and mechanical arms. That will make setting up our factories in the future a whole lot easier and make everything just work a lot nicer. And then it also gets us into rotational speed controllers and furnace engines, which means we don't have to keep spamming water wheels in every single building we make. So as far as buddy cards go today, we've got 11 base sets and 3 nether sets we got from the nether. So let's go ahead and open up our nether ones first because these are brand new to us, and we'll see what we get. Looks like we got some pretty cool stuff. Looks like we don't have any super rares, but we do have some rares. And then we'll also just open up the rest of these base sets and see if we can't fill out our last few shinies. Alrighty, so sadly we got no more shiny of our base set, and this thing is going to be quite a pain to fill out because look how many base set cards we have of extras. So we'll keep cranking away at that till we can finish that off, but we did end up getting quite a few nether cards, and that makes me pretty happy because that means we should be able to upgrade our armor. So we're currently at 8%. Let's see what we get up to. 11. Nice. So it looks like it's not too much better, but you know what? Any little bit is going to help. So jumping right into what we want to do this episode, I went ahead and built a brand new checklist board. So this way we can really easily keep track of what we need. So for example, our first task for the day is to upgrade my tools. Essentially what I want to do is I want to add a piece of slime wood onto each of my tools, which actually regenerates the over slime and basically repairs our tools automatically. Once that was complete, all I have to do is open this trapdoor, flick that lever, and then that little light lights up, and I have 2 lights per sign, and I can just kind of go through and check these off and have a real visual view of where we are at. So our goal for today is to actually get our workshop fully complete and then create a lot of brass and copper machines so that way we are prepared for our next projects and it'll make building our mechanisms a whole lot easier. So before we actually jump into completing our workshop, we have a few little housekeeping items we have to do. First thing we're going to do is upgrade our tools with Skyroot so that way they will repair themselves automatically. So I went ahead and put 1 piece of slime wood material on each of these. I just went ahead and did all of the handles. So now they should automatically be generating over slime as it goes. So there we go. Just went from 56 to 57. So for now, I will just repair these up and then they should keep themselves repaired as we just kind of go around and do our stuff in the world. The next thing, I want to see if I can upgrade our buddy card armor. So I got a comment saying that you only actually upgrade your armor when you pick up the cards. So I have had all of these cards in my inventory at one point or another, but I don't know if we have to like physically pick them up. So to do that, what I'm going to do is just break this chest. Then we can just put everything in here and we will see if that upgrades our armor at all. Okay, and it did work. Look at that. So we went from 11% to 34%. So now if we compared it to diamond armor, 3 armor, 2 armor toughness, 2 armor, 6 compared to 8. So we're getting close to diamond. So we're now better than iron, but still a little worse than diamond. So we'll see if we can't get some more buddy cards going this episode. So one of the big issues we were having with our andesite factory over here is that it was not able to keep up with the saplings. So the dark oak was like running out of saplings every once in a while. So what we did to fix that is we went ahead and switched the dark oak for orange autumn saplings. Now there's 2 reasons we did this. The first is that they grow in the small trees, so you don't need a 2x2 to grow it, so they're going to grow a little more frequently. And the second reason is that they have a really high probability of growing those like really tall trees with lots of leaves and lots of saplings. So hopefully that'll keep up with saplings a little bit better. So far it's been running for a few hours and it's been keeping up just fine. So if you're having issues with your wood farm, maybe just try swapping out the sapling. The second big issue we're having with our andesite factory is the pulley system was going down back below bedrock and basically voiding itself whenever we unloaded these chunks. So what I did to fix that is I switched our pulley system for a gantry shaft and gantry down on our little lift mechanism there. So basically I switched out our pulley for a gearbox and I have a few shafts going down to a gantry so that way everything perfectly lines up. So I'll wait for this to come back up and I'll show you how I connected that up to our system. And here it comes all the way up, and then when it gets to the top, See stuff's being automatically shuffled out, and you can see that our gantry carriage, which is holding the whole chassis, stops right there, which perfectly lines up with our system. So now, hopefully, this won't have any more issues. So the next thing on our to-do list is do a little bit of shopping. So there's two things that we're going to buy. The first is we're going to buy a unbreakable enchanted saw. So essentially we can put that in our iron farm and we won't need to automate making saws. And the other thing we want to buy is a piece of bedrock. Now I was holding off on buying this, but in the newest update to the pack, they actually removed this purchase. So we're going to go ahead and buy this before it's removed, and we'll save it for now, and then maybe eventually we'll have a good use for it. All right, looks like we only have 13 gold to our name. Do we have any more in here? Doesn't look like it. So maybe we'll see what we have to sell to get ourselves up to 32 gold. So one way to get a little bit of gold is we have 186 stacks of logs stored up in our sawmill. So let's trade all of those and see how much gold we can get from that. I don't think it'll quite get us enough, but it'll get us hopefully pretty close. Then we also have one of these quests complete, kill 50 zombies. Nice. And then mineral collector, I think we have all of these, so that'll get us another 25. Landfill drop off, we have the dirt, that'll get us another 15. That's maybe not as easy. Hopefully we just have all of that, we'll check. Written book, to get 15 silver coins, we can do that. Kill 30 spiders, we're about halfway there. Collect all that stuff. That should be pretty easy. Collect all the farming stuff. We have all of that, as well as all of these crops. Oh, we're missing pumpkin slices. We should be able to craft those, though. Any music discs for 32? I think we have a few music discs, so we might just trade all of those away. Sapling collector. We need dark oak. That doesn't get us many coins, though, so I think we'll skip that for now. And we'll see where that gets us. Okay, so after completing all of those quests, I ended up with only 22 gold. So I'm still only 10 off from our 32 goal. So I ended up just shoving all of my gems into my trade station to see what I could get. And with every single one of our precious gems sold off, we had just enough coins to buy our bedrock. So we've got 1 gold coin and 48 silver coins left over, and we've got our precious bedrock, which I'm going to make sure to keep a very good track of and make sure I don't place that down by accident anywhere. What that doesn't do is leave us enough money to buy our saw, so we're just going to hold off on this episode for now because we are pretty low on resources to keep getting more gold coins. So we will just pop the diamond saw in our andesite factory and upgrade it in the future. So I took the time to create as many brass machines and copper machines as I could with what I had, and I really didn't get much. We ended up only getting 8 brass machines and 11 copper machines, which is nowhere close to our goal for the episode to make sure that we're ready for future projects. But this is going to be enough to get us started. So the one thing that the workshop absolutely has to have is a mechanical crafter, so that way it can craft a crushing wheel. The reason we need that is because to make our brass machines, one of the ingredients is redstone, and that ended up being our bottleneck. The way I'm getting redstone right now is milling cinnabar, which only gets you 4 dust, but if we were to crush it, we get 6 per cinnabar. So that'll just make our process of crafting our brass machines a whole lot easier. So we'll craft up our mechanical crafters. So with our mechanical crafter complete, let's get our workshop all put together.
right, this is looking pretty darn good already. So all I went ahead and did is put in a few different mechanisms and then kind of reorganized my little crafting area. I think it's looking really quite nice. So we've got our deployer still set up over here, ready to make our mechanisms. Then we also have a mixing station, so we can just drop stuff in here, goes down into this funnel. Our mixer mixes it up, and then it goes into this chest in the middle. And then same thing over here with a press. We drop stuff into this chest, it gets pressed, then goes into the chest. And then over here we have a trade system set up, so we can drop fuel for our dynamo in here. Then we drop whatever we want to trade in here, and then put our import or profession here to either get money or get items. So we've got all of our imports stored up here and all of our professions stored down there. And the last thing we have over here is our crafting grid. So let's actually go ahead and grab all the stuff we need to make our crushing wheels. Because we're going to go ahead and make 2 of those. I've got a spot right there for them. So we need a bunch of cobblestone and a bunch of sticks. And that's pretty much all we need, I think. Yeah, so we do like a plus shape of sticks, and then all the way around we're going to do cobblestone, like so, and then we can watch this all craft up pretty quickly. I got my system running at a decent speed, but it definitely could be sped up, and there we go. We've got our crushing wheels, so now we can just put 1, 2, and we're ready to crush. Yeah, awesome. So then we have the chest here, which goes out of the crushing wheels, and then down in our basement here is where we have our storage to actually get our stuff from. Now the basement is a little unfurnished right now. We've got all of our water wheels here, which is running our workshop, but I do have a lot of empty space. So I do have quite a few plans for what I'm going to do with the space down here. But for now, the workshop up top should be enough to kind of keep us going. So we think we're good to go ahead and check off complete workshop tools on our list, and then move on to completing the workshop build. So let's go ahead and finish that off in a quick time lapse. And here it is, our completed workshop. I am in love with how this thing turned out. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. It's kind of got more of like a comfy cottagecore vibe than the rest of the builds, but I actually think it works quite well with the big andesite factory next to it. You guys will have to let me know what you think of that, but yeah, I'm super happy with it. So I went ahead and took some time to make a little path coming up here. We've got these yellow and orange autumn trees all around just to add a little pop of color. I think it looks really quite nice. So we come up here into the workshop, and when you come in, it's a little more cozy in here. I've got to like do a little more decoration, get all the torches off the ground, and maybe clean up this whole area, but I think it looks pretty good. So we've got our crafting stuff, chest wall here, and then you can come through here into the workshop, which I think this workshop area looks really quite nice now that it's all decorated. And then down in the basement, this is still empty as of right now, but eventually I will be putting some more machines down here, so I didn't want to go too far in terms of decorating because I don't really know what the space is going to look like. And then we can come up here to the bedroom area where we've got a bed, got like a little bookshelf, and then we've got our jukebox and just a little desk area. I think it looks really cute and cozy up here. Eventually I might kind of change this out. Maybe I'll make this an enchanting area or move my buddy cards up here. But I think for now this does the job, and it'll be a nicer place to wake up when we die, inevitably. We only ended up getting a single buddy card pack, which is actually from the end set, because we found that like little buddy card Enderman in the end. So we're going to open that up and see what we get.
Oh, we got a rare and then a few commons. That's not too bad. We will drop those on the ground to upgrade our armor. And the second thing that we're going to do today is we're actually going to craft the butter card binder. A lot of you guys have been telling me to craft this forever, so I think we're just going to go ahead and do it. So apparently what this binder does is it like holds... Oh, wait, that's a guidebook. Oh. You wanted me to make the binder. That's different. What is that? 3 buddy cards and a leather. All right, let me go make that quick. All right, so 3 buddy cards and a leather gets us the buddy card binder. Oh, and we get an orange one because we use the Farmer's Delight pack. Cool. I feel like this doesn't have enough slots for everything, because you guys told me that this would hold essentially all the cards, or is this just for the Farmer's Delight cards? That might be how it works. Like, this is enough for all the Farmer's Delight stuff, and then I'll have to craft one for my regular cards. Ah, I see. Okay, well that's not as cool as I thought it'd be, but that'll work. I'll make it a little easier. We won't have to have these big walls full of cards. So let me craft up a buddy card binder for our normal pack, our nether pack. Then we'll hold off on the end of pack for now because we only have 4 of those, but I'm going to craft those other 2 binders and we can take a look at all of the cards we have. So I took some time and actually organized these into the buddy card binder. So I've got my base set, I've got my Farmer's Delight set and all of the buddy gummies. And I've got my nether set, which still needs a lot of work. And then over here for my end cards, because I didn't want to use most of my end cards to make the binder, I just kind of have them sat here on these buddy card displays for now. Oh no. Enderlings. This is a thing that we killed to get our ender pack. Enderlings can be found wandering around rarely with endermen. These young endermen are very friendly and curious and will not attack you. They will gladly trade cards with you, but be careful not to lose them. There are benefits to trading with the same enderling a lot. God dang it! We should not have killed him. Oh my god. Okay, so I guess we'll have to watch out for another enderling. That was a huge mistake. Dang, that sucks. It also looks like we can actually enchant our binders to have extra pages. So eventually we can actually take like one binder and enchant it to have extra pages to store all of our cards in one binder, which sounds pretty useful, but for now, I really don't mind having all the different binders to store all the different packs. So in the next episode, I think what we'll do is start crafting up a whole bunch of create buddy card packs. Now, the reason I want to start crafting these up is because now that we have our grinding wheels, it's a lot easier to shred our buddy cards down. Realistically, I think we only need to keep 1 of each, but I'll probably try to keep 2 just in case we need them for anything else. But then like everything else can be shredded, which gives us a whole lot of cards to shred up.
So that's going to be it for part 1 of our Above and Beyond movie. We started off over in our little windmill over there, you can see back in the distance, moved into our workshop, built our andesite factory, and really we made a lot of progress. And in the next part, we're going to make a whole lot more progress towards getting to the moon. And it's just got to be said, if you guys enjoyed this first 4 hours of Above and Beyond, make sure you hit the subscribe button because we got the next section coming up, plus brand new episodes coming to you guys not too long from the release of this video.